Hello again, friends! And you are our friends, and welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru right here on another fine day. I'm trying to start off nice and calm, because it's nonstop, balls to the wall, batshit crazy the rest of the show. I'm your host, the great Brian Last, and here he is, the man who will be guiding us on this batshit journey, Mr. Jim Cornette.
I picked a wrong week to be in a confrontational mood, Brian, apparently.
Uh-oh.
And by the way, how's my audio sounding, Mr. Sonic Hearing, the Radar O'Reilly Last that can hear a mouse pissing on cotton on the moon? How's my audio sound?
Right now, I'm really liking the Sonics. I think it's good.
Yeah, well, you take your Sonics. I almost had no internet audio. Credit to the Queen of Castle Cornette, Stacy, for undergoing about 3 hours of intensive discussion with our friends over at Spectrum yesterday. I said, don't bring these people into you heard me say it. You've heard me say it a million times. Don't bring these people in to fuck this up even more. While at least it works at all. I could sound like Neil Armstrong speaking from the moon, and still you can hear me. They could cut this thing off altogether next time. Well, boom goes the dynamite. So you got to get Stace, get him that new rotor, or the modem, or the miter.
Modem. Well, routers and modems, but I think we're speaking specifically about a router here.
Well, it took the wrong route. She took the old one. She tried to blast the new one or the old one first with the sonic boom. I don't know. She told the guy in the wall, she said, fucking boot it on the other side of the plug. I don't know what, but
I don't even know what you just described.
Well, when she's sending a surge into the rotor.
The router.
That one too.
A surge, a sonic boom.
Well, it's some type of blast or other. They were going to surge it on the fire or whatever, but she got a green light. And she came up to me, she said, like, she showed me on her phone. If I mentioned how much I just love it when people show me shit on their phone. And she said, I took a screenshot, whatever that may be. I think that's one of those things Hotchkiss invented. But anyway, she said, I got the speed of 682 or whatever it was. I said, well, that's unheard of. I said, that don't look like the same speed test I've been fucking doing on my computer that somebody put. Obviously, I did not install a speed test on my computer. It's here from some other time that some other fucking shade-free mechanic was trying to fucking service this thing.
They installed it? It wasn't even a website you were going to? It was installed on your computer?
Well, I've got a button I can click on there, because elsewise I wouldn't know what do I get to type in? Internet speed test website, I guess?
Yeah. Or you put your actual service, you'll say Spectrum Speed Test Internet. It would probably come right up.
Yeah, well, if I ain't got a button I can click on, I don't see it.
A button?
But I've got buttons for 4 or 5 things here on my screen that Stace has put for me. I click on one thing for the Twitter, and I click on the other thing for the Skype, and I click on the other thing, fucking icons. Look at my bank account.
These are icons, not buttons.
Well, they're not heroes of wrestling. They're just little fucking pictures on the screen that you click on.
They're buttons of wrestling.
Buttons of wrestling. But anyway, so nevertheless, point is, that don't look like my. All speed tests are the same. So I'll check this out. So I come up here, and I get on my computer. I run my speed test. It's in 54. And when I reported that, then she took that old she took the old modem.
Router. We're talking about router.
See, you keep changing your story.
You said mortar. You got me all thrown off.
Well, whichever one it was, it was morbid is what it was. It was moribund. So Google these words, kids. This shit's hilarious if you made it all the way through fucking English class. So she took that back to the Spectrum place where, I said, why don't you tell them the problem with you? She said, they don't know anything over there. I said, well, goddamn, that's what I've been trying to tell you. They don't know anything over there. But anyway, she gets the brand new thingamabobby of those. And she brings it and she hooks it up and turns it on, and we got no internet. At least on that particular thing. We got internet flying around in the air here from these other things. We got things in all parts of the house, but none of it works right. So then she had to spend an hour and a half on the phone with whoever the fuck it was that you get on the phone to do the things that they do on the phone, and then was up here fiddling and punching buttons, and then we got internet now again. And my speed test today says I'm supposed to get the gig, right? That's 1,000 MIGs is what we've established back in when we did that math, right?
Something like that, sure.
I got 252 now, so that's better than it was.
It's still shitty.
Well, it's still Spectrum. That ought to be their next commercial. If good. It's still Spectrum, it's still shitty.
Do you remember that movie Crazy People with Dudley Moore, where he was like an ad executive and they all thought he went crazy, so they sent him to a home for... The name of the movie is Crazy People, so I'll call it a Crazy People establishment.
Yes, it's a home for people who have gone crazy.
For the Nuthouse Fargos of us out there.
Well, now, according to Jackie, he was not a patient in the nut house. He just swept up there.
Dudley Moore, while he's in there, starts having all the patients start working on ad campaigns. And it was kind of like that. It was like BMWs for men who like hand jobs from women they barely know. Fear. This movie won't scare you. It will fuck you up for life. And then like in the movie, all these products like blew up because of the campaign.
Well, see, now you've revealed where we've taken our commercial strategy from. They thought we came up with that shit. It's just we just had to go crazy first.
Dudley Moore.
Are you aware, Brian, that they're making the bottoms of dishwashers flat these days?
No, this escaped my my news feed.
Well, I didn't know about it either until yesterday. Apparently, it's an epidemic of these things going on now. The bottom of the dishwashers, if you buy a new one, are now flat. You want to know how I found out this piece of information?
How did you find out, and what were they before that?
Well, they were not flat. And now they are, and I found out because I bought one.
Well, what were they? Were they round?
No, they had little runners on the bottom of them, and there was 2, 3, 4 inches. I don't know. I didn't measure it exactly. I just eyeballed it. So somewhere in there, off the ground, and this came in very handy. Let me explain. Last year, we wanted to get the new refrigerator, the new stove, and the new dishwasher. And it was months, so we were waiting. Well, I can't get the dishwasher. Can't get a dishwasher, back order. Can't get the... Apparently, these goddamn things are very popular. We fuck the dishwasher then, just bring us the refrigerator and the stove, which they did. I believe I mentioned some of that fucking saga when it happened. But now the old dishwasher we had was flummoxing in and out, and we better order this thing again because who knows how long it's going to take. We order it last week. They said, well, we can get it to you next week. What? Now they're goddamn everywhere. Maybe because the bottoms are flat. Because what happened, we had Mr. Handyman come over. He was very handy. He pulled the old dishwasher out because several years ago we'd had a leak in the old pipe behind the wall, behind the dishwasher, and the plumber had to cut a hole in the wall to fix the pipe. And we had never, when he put the goddamn dishwasher back, because he didn't do goddamn wall holes, he was just a plumber. He did plumb holes. So the hole was still there. So we had Mr. Handyman come over, take out the old dishwasher. It's a piece of shit. They're going to haul it off when they bring the new one. And then fix the back of the wall so that we don't have a fucking hole in the wall looking at the pipe. Makes sense, right? Well, right on the bottom of the floor underneath the dishwasher is the power box that they had installed with the wiring, and it's got its own circuit breaker. So you want to turn the dishwasher off, the circuit breaker, but flip the dishwasher circuit breaker off, right? Just flip the switch on and off. I should have put it on a clapper. I could have sat there, clap on, clap off, and washed the dishes. But I digress. So we turn the circuit breaker off, power box right there. All they got to do is slide the goddamn new one right in, wire it up, boom, flip the switch back on. And everything will be right as rain. Until the delivery gentleman get the thing in front of it there and say, oh, there's a problem. What? Is flat. What's flat? the bottom of the goddamn dishwasher. It's supposed to plug into a regular plug from the back to a fucking outlet somewhere rather than slide over the power box to be wired in from there and blah, blah, blah. So now we got no dishwasher. We got a hole in the goddamn next to the fucking sink, and we got a dishwasher sitting in the TV room until we can get the electrician to come out and take the power box and put us in a plug 1 foot over to the fucking right. That's how I know the bottom of the dishwashers are flat. Are you still there?
Yeah, barely. This has been Dishwasher Talk, sponsored by Best Buy.
I got a lot of problems with you people today. I've been having fucking issues.
It had nothing to do with your dishwasher. I didn't even know if it was flat or what it was.
Well, now you know. And I've probably saved you from undergoing the same goddamn issue when you replace your dishwasher there at Last Manor. Have you thought about replacing your dishwasher, or is he giving you as much trouble as he used to?
I think we have a pretty new one, but I don't even know because I never mess with it.
All right, well, it's your program.
Oh, thank you very much. Well,
I'm grumpy as shit.
You know, there's lots of grumpy shit you can get at JimCornette.com. Tell them about it, Jim.
Oh, well, cheer me up then, why don't you? I will have you know that the collectibles available at JimCornette.com are only the finest, most of them autographed personally by me. There are no forgeries. I don't autograph the t-shirts. That's why I say most of them. And you can get those, including the Midnight Express 4-pack that still remain, but are going quickly, the Midnight Express and Heavenly Bodies action figures, all of my fine various ephemera, and at a reasonable price and hand-packed by the feather bottoms at JimCornette.com. And don't forget, the Cornette face t-shirts may be more popular than ever coming up because a lot of people are trying to figure out the way to express their gobsmackery at some of the things that are going on in wrestling, and that always is an evergreen choice. But JimCornette.com.
That's right. You know, we're going to do things out of order a little bit this week because there's so much happening, and I think we have to talk about Dynamite right here at the top. It happened last night as we are recording, and before Dynamite, I was thinking, what are the topics for the drive-thru this week? And one of them, because we didn't go through any of the media scrum audio, I was like, you know, apparently Tony talked about how he used to chat online with Luthez when he was a kid.
I'm sorry, what now?
Apparently he used to chat online with Luthez. He used to chat online with Luthez when he was a youngster. And
no, okay. You know what? I can't take the piss out of him because I remember that hearing that Luthez was doing something, answering questions on the, what was it at that time? Was that even before like Wrestling Classics or whatever board of some description? Or
he definitely did stuff on Wrestling Classics. I don't know if he was doing stuff on other, you know, before that, just other random wrestling chat rooms on AOL.
Well, yeah, I don't think it was like person to person, was
Charlie,
it?
sign me up.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was answering questions or, you know, writing little pieces about the day. But go ahead.
But we're not even going to talk about that right now because we have to talk about last night's Dynamite.
Where apparently he didn't learn how to take a bump from Luthez.
I've said it before, I have to say it again, another banner episode of AEW Dynamite. This may be the episode of all time. There's a lot to talk about. Before we go any further and review the matches, independent of the quality of the show itself, let's talk about the audio. Tony Khan put out a tweet saying it was an issue on TBS's side, their partner at TBS. Threw them under the bus, but it was very nice the way he phrased it. What did you think about the audio and how unwatchable is that show if the entire audio track is fucked up?
Well, you know, here's the thing. There were so many different types of audio problems or communication problems between, whether it be, again, it could be several things. Could have been bad communication between the truck and the announce team, or could have been bad communication between the broadcast of the network and the truck. But there were so many different types of audio problems. I know a few of them cannot be blamed on TBS because I knew what they were. Apparently, you can't when at the opening of the program, and this is a good place to put this because I was going to mention it also. When you've got the WWE on this fucking roll, this steamroll that they're on with these big buildings and these sellouts and the big crowds and the big stars, the big shows, whatever the fuck. Even when Tony is in one of these NBA arenas, and we'll probably talk on the experience this week, one of the listeners out there who's a data scientist of some kind sent me an analysis that we don't have time for today, but it's fascinating. But even when they're in an NBA arena, but the average building that they're running is 75% empty, they're at least coming from a place that's heard of in a venue that people would think is somewhat professional. And even if the average person doesn't look for the crowd shots, right? The average person is not waiting for the wide shot to see how they have to disguise they haven't got any people in the building. We do that because we're industry professionals. But they opened this program coming from Daly's place in Jacksonville. It looked like a Nickelodeon game show set. This is the worst time.
It looked better with no fans. They shot it better with no fans.
Yeah, well, but they almost did it again here. It just, they can't shoot it with some fans. But everybody made a big deal out of they were advertising for seat fillers or whatever. And then they said, well, we're giving away free tickets to people in the military or the, first defenders or first responders, whatever they said. But they advertised locally. We need 50 people to come and be seat fillers, whatever you're affiliated with. But so anyway, it looks like the game show set. It's just so small. Why did they have to be there? Did another building fall through? Because they own that, right? Or that was their home?
No, they own it. It's next to the football stadium. But I guess the other question is, why do they have to shoot it so that the stage is behind the camera or in front of the camera?
Do we know how many people were there, though? Because they didn't ever really turn anything around. So were there any people there? Where are the people, Jerry?
I want to say it was in the neighborhood of 2,500 people. Let me double check.
God damn, did you see 2,500? They could have shown 1,850 more people.
But that's the thing. I didn't see that many people, and that's weird that they don't shoot the crowd at all there if there's all these people behind on the other side of the camera.
Dipshit, the plumber had to go out in the crowd and fight, but they kept it real tight. But anyway, it looked like, what the fuck? But the cold open of the thing, or the first video you see, to address what you were talking about before I went off on a tangent. Here come the SUVs. It's not Roman Reigns, folks. It's the Buckaroos and Cody and Jungle Jackoff. And that was the first example of an audio problem because they have I'm pretty sure they pre-taped this, but whether they were doing it live or whether they pre-taped it, the audio that you were hearing was the audio that was being played to the crowd when they were looking at it on the screen so it was from the arena. It sounded hollow. You could hear the fans murmuring, right? But when they're actually talking, you can't hear, they're not feeding the program audio. So either the truck wasn't getting it, the truck wasn't sending it. I don't know how that TBS could have made the mistake to separate on their end, to separate the goddamn program audio with the microphone on the camera that shot this thing, and we're just hearing the PA playing on the screen in the arena. How does TBS do that? So, but there was another time in one of the matches where the announcers were speaking and suddenly, bam, they were in picture in the middle of Tony Schiavone's sentence. Now that could have been...
That was hysterical too, because that was right when, the audio may be getting a little bit better, and then boom.
Yeah, boom. And then it cut out completely. But that could have been the truck not being able to talk to the announcers suddenly for some reason. Or that could have been master control at the network not communicating to the truck to tell the announcers, but it's not supposed to be done that. There's multiple checkpoints that you would have to go through that would have to fail for all of those things to. And then there was another point, and I was fast forwarding through some of this fucking in the middle because god damn, you'll hear about it. But they showed a picture on Twitter and people were talking about it. They went to picture in picture in a commercial break and forgot to put the picture in the picture. So they had the commercial playing in the big part, and in the little part, it just said live. And again, if they're using, unless somebody at Master Control at TBS just, has walked in there from a homeless shelter and it's his first day on the job.
Who's on the board tonight? Oh, it's Crazy Jerry. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We need to promote him and get him out of here. But no, it had to be, they're in Daly's place. It's not an NBA arena. Did they bring the full setup? Did they bring the normal crew, a technical crew? Did they pick up some freelancers? I don't know what to put, but I'm trying to think of some of because I made notes of them throughout the show, but there was a number of, there was the one where after all the other girls engaged in all of the other girl things that they did, Serena comes out, sits down. Oh my God, it's Serena. And she sits down on the stage and she talks directly into the handheld fucking camera to cut this meaningful statement about why she's back. And they're still playing one of the other girls' music so loud. You can't hear a goddamn thing she says unless you're a lip reader. You don't know what the fuck and then the announcers are trying to tell you what she said. And then
you can't hear them either, so it doesn't help.
Well, yeah, but the one plus was most of the time you couldn't really hear Sockface at all. And then there was another time that, especially when the people quieted down, that the announcers were goddamn thunderous. And then it was a tremendous moment for Plumber Moxley at the end, because he also tried to cut a promo into the handheld camera, but the only thing, fortunately, that anybody could hear was, "You're a fucking dead man. We just don't know who's dead."
Can I do my impression of Moxley's promo earlier in the show?
I wish you would.
Dope. Couldn't hear anything. Heard the fans.
Well, I may have heard it better than you, because it almost sounded to me like every other Moxley promo. It didn't make any fucking sense, but there was some words in there. But that's the thing, is this, and I mean, we're going to get into more of the visual aspect of this was the worst possible show for them to present at the worst possible time when we talk about, because the first thing you saw live in the arena, besides the fact that the arena is a goddamn, I mean, the fucking Batman Amphitheater at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom that we used to run OVW shows in looked better than this. But the first thing you saw was fucking pockets being thrown out of the entranceway by Trent. So you've got an amateur location, or a minor league location with an amateur television production, and you can't hear the first thing they present, and the first talent that you see on the other program, you might see Roman Reigns coming out, or you might see goddamn Cody coming out, or you might see fucking Punk or McIntyre or Logan Paul or goddamn who knows what fucking The Rock. Did I mention him before? This is Trent and Pockets. And they've just crowned a new world champion, and we see two indie guys that got a lucky fucking friend hire rolling around in a goddamn amusement park arena. It's just the dichotomy, the paradox, and a paradox is not a place you park two boats. It's amazing. Your thoughts
My thoughts on the opening of the show up to this point?
on the amateurishness overall, and could they have picked a worse time to present such amateurishness?
There it is. Now, I know not every pay-per-view is WrestleMania, but this was the first Dynamite after a big pay-per-view. One where AEW fans seemed very happy with it. New World Champion, they loved the Ospreay match. There were things they really loved. Jack Perry's return. For some people, that was a big deal. They followed it up with a show opening with the Bucks, who are ratings poison. Can't even hear them. Right away, it becomes apparent the audio's fucked. And then they go into the building. Orange Cassidy, if it was him on his own, it would be one thing. Because his opponent could have credibility. It was him in the middle of the best friends falling apart. Like anyone gave a shit. And by the way, it turned out they weren't even best friends. The guy said he didn't even like him or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I always thought you were a piece of shit.
What?
A fucking fake friend and a backstabber.
You could have said this 4 years ago, Chuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this was an amateurish way to open. And then, I mean, we'll get to the review, but the world champion was put in a long competitive match against a guy who never wins. But let's go to the actual review. I apologize for going forward.
What, you apologize for everything from here on out going forward is going to be rotten, or you apologize for going too far ahead of the topic?
That, and also for the fact that you had to watch this show. I'm so sorry. Accept my apologies.
But we take it upon ourselves. We're like those old religious pilgrimage motherfuckers charging up a goddamn hill, whacking each other with chains and shit. We suffer so you don't have to.
Like all those religious pilgrimage people.
Yeah, whatever. I just have the visual in my head of they're beating themselves over the back with the chains while they're walking up a hill to jump off a cliff. I don't know where they're fucking going.
Why do you have this vision in your head?
Because we're punishing ourselves, but they're doing it for some greater purpose, for a higher power. Potentially not Adam Cole.
Well, let's jump right into the volcano, AEW Dynamite.
Well, and that's what we first saw was they play, Jane, you're playing a game. And all of a sudden, Pockets is thrown rolling out of the entranceway by Trent himself of the, of Cookie Bacon Mother. Minivan driving fucking floozy that she is.
Well, they don't have to call her a floozy. She's a
she's coming. She's
minivan driving mom. I guess
she's coming out on TV parading her cookies around. Brian, what would you call her? Anyway, spreading her baked goods all over.
All right. Enough here. Her son just turned on her. She's having a rough time.
Giving people goddamn diabetes right and left. Typhoid Mary, son of a... Anyway, so he apparently has been beating up Pockets, and then he beats up Pockets a little more, and then Pockets rolls up into kind of like a fetal position in the middle of the ring where he's going to stay for a while. Because then Trent calls out Muffin Top Taylor, his friend when the unfortunate wardrobe and the hair that looks like he got a free bowl of soup with that haircut, and the fucking rosacea upon his face. Or is he just embarrassed to be a part of this? We don't know. And he shuffles out, and they do a dramatic indie wrestling verbal exchange about how the other was this fucking guy down here, he fucking took advantage of us. He was supposed to be the mascot. Now he's the big deal. And fucking that's what Muffin Top said. You know what? I always thought you were a fucking son of a bitch. Well, at first Trent did the big build up and he wanted a hug is what he wanted. And he's cut this whole promo while Pockets is just curled up at his feet. What I've seen people be hit by cars and goddamn their adrenaline kicked in enough to be able to shuffle off the goddamn motorway, right? And this fucking guy's just laying there quivering. Would he hit him in the head with a fucking pipe? Anyway, and he wants the hug, Trent does. And there's Muffin Top, who's been stood there, as they say over across the pond, like the fucking parking lot attendant wandered in. Just what this looks so amateur. And he's nobody, and nobody cares for him because he ain't got nobody. Nobody cares for him. Nobody cares for you suck. So he wants the hug is what he wants. God damn it. And that's when Muffin Top said, he reaches his arms out and he say, you know, I always thought you were a piece of shit. And he hits Trent. And Trent rolls out and Muffin Top gets the microphone and says, they won't clear me to wrestle. Why? Do they actually have some standards there? But he says they won't clear me to wrestle in the ring, but I want a fight in the parking lot. What fucking sense does that make?
Is it because of his skin condition?
I wouldn't want to touch him, but I didn't want to touch him before he looked like he does now. I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. Maybe he just gets sunburned a lot, but he's always looked like he's fucking sandpapered himself. But why is he's not been wrestling? I avoid him at all costs. But if he's been injured and he's just been living on Tony's dime, how would he be able to not get cleared to wrestle, but he can be cleared to have a parking lot extravaganza of some kind?
Because it makes no sense. Because there are no rules and regulations in AEW.
Well, but no, if he's really hurt, are they going to say, well, what if you do it in the parking lot, we're not responsible for real? Like, you got to sign a waiver. If you hurt yourself, you're on your own for real? I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, Trent left, but the lead of the story is Pockets laid there for 4 fucking minutes and then old Muffin Top and I think others may have come to attend to him. What the fuck happened to him in the back? People goddamn recovered from fucking spinal surgery quicker than that.
See, I think it's brilliant not even long-term, but show-long booking that you're overlooking. Hey, that rhymes. I think that because Orange Cassidy clearly was killed by whatever happened to him, he wasn't able to save Tony Khan, his best friend, later in the show.
No, because there's footage of after the show went off the air out there on Twitter where they're shuffling Tony out and Pockets is fucking droop-shouldered, walking right on his own power right back behind him.
Oh, okay, so he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
But your paper is fucked.
Right. And that's when the plumber did the promo in the back, and maybe it's because they're shooting it in an oil drum. I don't know. But the audio, I think I've come to the conclusion, I think some of the fans believe in this guy as being a badass guy. Oh, Moxley, a deathmatch guy.
Death Jitsu.
There you go. I sound more like Cartman, don't I?
I don't know what you were doing.
I don't know. He don't know what he's doing.
That's right.
And
don't you forget it, because I'll forget it.
Well, we'll remind him. We'll keep reminding him. Point is, apparently some of the fans have never known or worked with real tough guys and badasses in the way of the physical arts, and so they fall for the way that he talks and ignore the way he looks and his work in the ring. But God damn it, all right. So are you ready for the new world champion, Brian? Which one you're supposed to say? The American one, the hometown AEW World Champion, not the more prestigious IWGP other company World Champion that's going to main event later on.
That's me, yeah.
Swerve Strickland wins the world title on pay-per-view. And he is arguably the most popular guy in the company, right? Except now maybe for Ospreay, who's now, of course, in the top heel group. But still, he just won the world title. Wouldn't you think there would be some I mean, the plumber won the IWGP title and got to talk about it. And Swerve wins the title on pay-per-view, and Nana introduces, here's your new world champion, and he comes out and has a match with Kyle Felcher. At least he's wrestling heels now, so they've acknowledged that he's supposed to be a babyface, but I wrote at the time, as soon as I saw what the match was, I said his first appearance as champion, and I guarantee you it's going to take him 20 minutes to beat a Q-tip with arms and legs. And I was wrong, Brian. It only took him 15. And at one point, because I mean, this match, and they're going to go out there and have a banger. It was competitive all the way again. I don't care if Mighty Joe Young or Cheetah can do all the moves perfectly unless they are pushed on a consistent basis as being a threat to the singles world title, of which there should only be at least only 2. And they got about 4 or 5 here, but nevertheless. Then, no. What the fuck? And at one point during the match, it was so important, the new world champion's first, appearance on television, where he didn't say a goddamn word. He just got right into getting his ass kicked by one of the members of the Don Fallis family that just got his ass kicked by Will Ostrich. While Felcher's kicking the shit out of Swerve, they go split screen to the Buckaroos and Jungle Jackoff and O'Cody in the back, walking into Tony Khan's office. This is Tony's name on the door, boom. After they've established on camera the past couple weeks, he sits at Gorilla. And it looked like 3 kids playing dress up and their Japanese adult chaperone. And they go to this huge story in the middle of the New World Champions match. And finally, the New World Champion hits his double stomp off the top rope finish onto the goddamn guy and covers him and gets a 2 count. And then backs up, and while Felcher sits up on his ass, Swerve runs and kicks him, and it was a wonderful looking kick. Might ought to use that for a high spot sometime every once in a while. But he runs and he kicks him in the head while the guy's sitting on his ass from behind. What a babyface fucking finish. And that got him the 3 count. So he went 1 move too far. And as I said, it only took him 15 minutes to beat a middle card. The guy's not even the top guy in his own fucking group. Your thoughts?
You're being too hard on him. I mean, it's not his fault how he's booked, but he's better than you're giving him credit for. And you say,
I'm not saying he's not.
You say Q-tip. He's 6'5", and it appears that he's putting on size. The problem is,
he looks ridiculous.
Well, the problem
in the way they presented him and his haircut.
Well, the bigger problem, I don't think those are the problem. I think the problem is he never wins. So now you have the world champion's first title defense after all this other nonsense already on the show. And it's against a guy who never wins, who could have a long competitive match with him, and it goes forever. They should have opened with Swerve and given him a quick win and let him celebrate with the fans while Nana dances.
And talk to him.
Simple. Yeah.
And talk to him. He's their leader now. He didn't even get a chance to say thank you to everybody, did he? But anyway, I agree with what you said, and you disagreed with what I was agreeing with you with. I'm not saying that Kyle Felcher in another goddamn situation couldn't be a top guy. I'm saying the way he's been so far, he ain't, and he's not even the featured guy in his own group, and he's kicking the shit out of the new world champion the first time we see the new world champion. Is what I'm saying to you.
I agree with that.
All right.
But I can't go too crazy about a ridiculous haircut. It is wrestling.
Well, and it needs to be less childish ridiculous and more Pampiro Furpo ridiculous. I don't know but anyway, I'm not a hairstylist, damn it. But that's going to be next on A&E. We'll talk about this at some future point, but they've devolved Most Wanted Treasures. The season debut have become 2 hours of going over to guys' houses and looking through boxes of their tights. I can't wait to see WWE's Most Wanted haircuts when they follow a different superstar every day to the goddamn hair salon to get a fucking haircut.
Join Brutus Beefcake as he goes strutting and a-cutting every Thursday on A&E.
But only if Missy lets him. So then speaking of letting somebody do something, Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo, who I thought were both baby faces, argued with each other and yelled at each other, and two outlaw indie wrestlers posing as stagehands had to get in between them in an awkward fashion. Hold on. Son of a bitch.
The hell was that?
There's a gnat flying around in front of me. He's gone to fucking Gnat Boot Hill now.
What are you going to do, though? You have to wash your hands, don't you?
I just wiped them off.
You're going to continue on with bug guts? Okay.
I wiped them off on my pants. I stomp on these. Well, the son of a bitch is still here. God damn it. I thought I was seeing spots in front of me. There you are, bug guts. Thought I was seeing spots in front of my eyes. I was going to have you call a doctor. Anyway, the audio was so bad on this interview that I don't know what they were mad about, but they seem to have a strong disagreement. A big difference of opinion here.
Now, this is at the point, though, you would think, you may have the times. This was what, 30 minutes, 35 minutes into the show, maybe a little longer?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't someone in the back at that point have noted we're having an issue, we probably shouldn't have a lot of talking?
Well, no. Somebody should have said, we're having an audio issue. We better fix this motherfucker. That's what we...
Don't worry, Shad's here.
Oh, goddamn. I thought it was the fucking guy from Go Fight Live, whatever that fucking clown's name was. Because I was definitely the one that was screaming, you stupid motherfucker, while he was plowing around on his hands and knees behind the fucking equipment table that time down in beautiful Fort Lauderdale, trying to figure out why our Ring of Honor pay-per-view audio wasn't synced up. What was his goddamn name? I'd like to be able to call it now so I could say 12 years after the fact what a fucking moron he was. And then he stepped on the goddamn power strip and threw us all off the air. But I've screamed, fix that shit! What the fuck? Why weren't they saying what is going on? Who is responsible for this? And how can it be rectified?
Should they have played into it? I mean, considering what they were doing, should they have Jack Perry and the Bucks take over the truck and fuck with the audio? At least it's an explanation, right?
But again, how is it? It's multiple different things going on. How is someone not troubleshooting this? I don't... Anyway. Speaking of troubleshooting this, they followed the girls' interview and argument that you couldn't hear with something that I wish we couldn't have seen. Now, I know you may be a fan, Brian, because Anna Jay was involved against Stardom's Mira Shirakawa with Maria May in her corner. But this early in the show... They can't be serious. What are the quarter hours going to look like? We don't even know yet, folks. They're not out yet.
I'm convinced, although poorly executed, that they booked this week's show for us. A long Anna Jay match against this new girl with the bosom. That was for me. They booked that for me. And then leaning into the stuff about the Bucks being douchebags and everything in their own, and Jericho's leaning in. Again, it's not executing. The execution isn't good, and he's not doing good with it, but he's leaning into what we say.
They're ribbing. They're all ribbing. That's the problem. They're all ribbing, but it's like they think that they're getting away with it, and people can't see they're all ribbing now. It's so over the top. And this girls' match, folks, I apologize for anything that I ever called bad women's wrestling. Because now I've seen bad women's wrestling.
Oh, come on. Not this match. This match was not as bad as the baddest.
It looked like not as bad as the baddest.
It was the least good. It was the most bad. I don't even know how to say it. But
if you are looking for believable pro wrestling athleticism in the ring, try two strippers doing mud wrestling before this. They started the CWA, the Cheerleader Wrestling Association. It was like if you took high school cheerleaders and said, mimic the things you see on a wrestling program. And again, Anna Jay does have the slightest chance of getting over to a U.S. audience and a asset in some way to the television program, so they beat her. Because the other one's from Stardom, run by formerly by the fellow that's now struck out on his own that Kenny Olivier don't like. So then after Anna is dispatched, Mira and Maria go to have a champagne toast, and Maria. And Mariah. They call the wind Mariah.
It was Mira and Mariah.
Well, Mariah blew in to have a champagne toast, and Mariah is doing a nice little stripper dance, and then suddenly Anna Jay comes back from the dead like Jason Voorhees and fucking clocks. Just clocks. But she's mad as hell and she's not going to take it anymore. Boom, she clocks old Mariah from behind, and then Mira, and then puts a sleeper on Mariah. And then music plays, and Tony Storm hits in black and white from 1937. And Anna Jay bails out, and then music plays, and Serena Deeb comes out in dramatic fashion to the stage where the belt that Tony Storm is left laying when she went to fucking run past Sunset Boulevard to the corner of Hollywood and Vine and save the fucking day in the ring. She's left it there, and Serena gets the belt or sits over next to the belt and does her promo to the camera that she's obviously supposed to do because she was making specific points of some description. And also, they were still playing the fucking music, so you couldn't hear it. God, you'd hear the music, but you couldn't hear what the fuck she was saying. So if we could get lip readers on that case, what the Marley Matlin, or is it Mariah Matlin?
Marley.
Well, if we get her on the case. What else did you see there?
You know, I was intrigued by the match. I came up with a poem. New wrestler with the big bosom and Anna Jay. Makes me wonder whatever happened to Layla Gray. It was fine for what it was. It went a while. It went a good while.
Good while.
Anna Jay, you said like Jason Voorhees. I started listening because all of a sudden she's behind her, choking her like with a maniacal face. Anna Jay has potential in the ring, and she's still young that you could call it potential. I think she even has, and I know it's not in fashion, I guess I should say, to say this, she has potential as a valet that could get heat.
Yes.
And they're not going to go down that road. And then whatever Serena Deeb...
I don't want anybody to get any heat except for back in the locker room.
And then the big Serena Deeb return that just, again... Of all the weeks for the audio not to work, it's right after a pay-per-view. Shad's in the back. The guy who really owns this thing is in the back. And they're running around because of these audio issues. Daly's Place is the home to so many of the great moments I love, like the debut of Jade Cargill and... What was her name? What was the name? The Queen
Brandy.
of Piss. No, the Queen of Piss. Maki Ito.
Oh, Maki Ito.
When Maki Ito sang...
Queen of Piss and Shit, yes. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen.
When she sang and danced while the world champion Hikaru got her ass kicked by Vicky Guerrero. that's still one of the best moments ever. And this, because it devolved into so much happening with bad audio, centered around music playing. It was just really bad. And the Tony Storm thing is lame. I get people like that she's so committed to it, but look at what she's committed to. It's one thing if it was on TCM, not on wrestling.
They had something that shot right past the shark and into uncharted waters. But we're not done yet. Unfortunately, I heard most of the next promo. And folks, I'm not ribbing you now. This is, we're coming up on, this is the last segment before the 9 o'clock hour. So the entire first hour of the program has been what we've just said. And then we're in the ring with Stokely and poor Chris Statlander.
Oh, this segment. Oh, my God.
And why is Chris Statlander standing around doing nothing? Is she hurt again? Is there a reason why that? I mean, as we've said, she's probably one of the only. Willow now. Willow has potential if she can get out of there. But Statlander, with a good training program and some confidence on promos and booking and direction, you could draw money with. And she's out there doing a poem putting over Willow Nightingale. Put Willow, put Willow, put Willow. And then Willow comes out.
And then Caprice. And Caprice was awesome, and you couldn't hear anything. You could just tell he was doing good.
Yes. No, I forgot to they had Caprice Coleman on at the announce desk doing some type of rapping, as the young folks do, about Willow. But you know, as you mentioned, we didn't hear a lot of the announcers, and only then sometimes when we didn't want to. So it was, but it sounded like by the fast way that he was doing it, that he wasn't fucking anything up. And then Willow and Stokely did some comedy about how they didn't like each other at first. And did we see the first of this and ignore it, or did they do the first of all of this on a program other than Dynamite?
Of all of this, meaning what?
All of this, why is Stokely with Willow and Statlander?
It just kind of happened. Statlander and Willow were together, and then Stokely kind of joined the parade. Maybe they all drive in together from the island. I really don't know.
And he just said they didn't like each other. I don't. Anyway, all of a sudden music plays and Mercedes moons out. And
nothing like loud, muffled CEO chants that are synthetic. They're not even real. It's just loud audio of fake CEO chants.
Well, but no, they did get a little drava of a CEO chant from the actual people, because this is Jacksonville and it's the friends and family audience, basically, right? So they're trying to work with that. They cheered Jungle Jack. Try that in fucking Chicago or goddamn anywhere other major city in the country. But still, she's just doing a heel promo and the people were booing her. And if you could believe any of this, because it's either rotten material or really bad acting, I wrote dramatic recitation of scripted dramatic scene. Willow spent half the time looking at the handheld camera while she's supposed to be venting her frustrations at Mercedes, and then she looked with the sympathetic look. She looked at Mercedes and said, "I genuinely feel so awful at what happened to you." Instead of, "Hey, you got hurt. It's a contact sport. Why are you whining in front of all these people?" And let the fucking heel start whining some more. But nevertheless, Willow is trying. But they're standing unnaturally.
That's it. That's it. That's what got me right there. They were standing next to each other, talking to each other, facing forward.
Yeah, yes.
Facing the camera. WWE style when Vince was still running things.
But Vince ain't there. You don't have to do that shit now.
Mercedes Moné's there, and her writer is there, and that's the system. That's the only thing they can do.
Alexandra Pepperday, you think she's out there blocking the scene? Say, no, stand in a V shape.
Think of all the successful... Seriously, the successful talking segments in AEW history, whether it was Punk or MJF or Kingston, whoever was in them, in the ring, where guys went to different corners, where people were in the ring talking to each other and the camera wasn't just static. This was done so fakely, if that's a word, so poorly and fake, because they were standing at that weird WWE Raw angle of a few years ago.
Well, but no, I think you're wrong because it wasn't only because of that. It was also because they did a rotten job of it anyway. If they'd have been standing on their fucking heads in 3 feet of shit, it would have still been rotten. But that's the thing, isn't this the material? I don't know what the fuck. But obviously Mercedes is now, and then Mercedes goes to leave, and Statlander grabs her by the arm, like, wait a minute. And Mercedes turns around and slaps Willow, and then they all yell at each other. But are they now admitting that Mercedes is a heel and she's acting like it and speaking like it, or was this just accidental and they're not? And the people were booing her just because she's a fucking obnoxious bitch.
If you looked at the company show-wide, the only thing you would come away with is the idea that they still are going with the idea there are no baby faces and heels. And that's the way they treat everything. This was bad. Obviously, they're teasing Statlander turning. They both blamed each other for the attacks in the previous weeks in these bad segments. Not Julia Hart, each other. It was like the AEW women's division, believe it or not, as much as I rag on it, had some potential because of Willow and Statlander and Julia Hart. And you know what? Sky Blue and Anna Jay. I'm not saying they're all ready, but there's something to be worked with there. They could, if you wanted a really serious women's division, you have things you could work with to get things going. It's almost like when WCW in 94 almost felt like it was getting back on track, and then Hogan came in.
Yeah.
And then everything was like, okay, now everything's centered around this. We'll see. You know, they're doing this whole thing around Willow injuring her in New Japan. On a New Japan show, I think in California, right?
Yeah, it's not even like, God damn it couldn't even be in Tokyo. It's in fucking Bakersfield.
And no one just spells it out. And why is Willow so upset she may have hurt her opponent in a match? What do you think happens in a wrestling match? That's the only opponent who's ever been hurt? In kayfabe. That's the only opponent the wrestler Willow Nightingale has ever hurt in there? It makes no sense. It's bad booking.
And you know what they could actually say, because it was a mistake. Was it not even something that Mercedes did on her own anyway, rather than something Willow could say, hey, I wasn't responsible. But show it, analyze it, drill it into people's heads, make it a bone of contention, not this goddamn vague allusion to fucking hurt feelings. What the fuck?
Yeah, not good.
Anyway, but that is at the moment, and we will come back to this, folks, when it happens, but that's the moment when Maddie, on behalf of the Buckaroo Bonsais, told Officer Barbrady that Tony Khan is going to talk to Jungle Jackoff live later on tonight.
Let me stop you here. Can I ask you a question about this?
I wish you would.
We'll get to the review of the segment later and the discussion about what they did, why they did it, how they did it, and if they should have. But if you were going to do it, did it deserve a bigger lead-in announce time than 1 hour?
Oh my God.
Should this have been announced over the weekend? Like, when should they have announced that they were going to have Tony Khan finally getting what he always wanted? He gets to be an on-air character with Jack Perry. Like, when should they have announced this?
Well, one would hope that they knew that what they were doing this on Wednesday night, April 24th, at their pay-per-view on Sunday night, April 21st, right? One would hope that something of this magnitude, of this import, you would have it planned 3 days out, right? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Then on their weekly television show, Tony Khan makes matches within 7 seconds of people uttering a challenge. So after what happened on the pay-per-view Sunday night in the tag team ladder fucking fiasco, please be careful match, why would not... You could have, right after the package leading into the main event, you could have said Tony Khan has said he's going to speak to Jack Perry live and figure this whole mess out Wednesday night on Dynamite. And even if it's only the pay-per-view audience that saw that, you've got it out in the universe to where that it can be repeated. The clip out on YouTube, the tweets out, the blah, 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 and everybody talk about it and build it up for 3 fucking days. Or you can have a goddamn lackluster 1 hour of fucking bad wrestling with nobodies and fucking rotten booking with technical problems, and then tell the people that for the first time ever, Tony Khan's going to put on his big boy pants, come out here and talk to somebody tonight, live on TV. Which would you have picked to do, Brian?
Again, they didn't know they were going to have audio issues, but they went with announcing this was going to happen an hour beforehand on a show with audio issues, where you could barely hear what anyone was saying. There's a plane going overhead. You could hear that.
And see, if you couldn't hear it, then nobody could hear it. Because you can hear a goddamn flea farting through fucking satin.
Again, I'm talking about a plane. These are pretty loud, especially some of these bombers flying around here.
Well, I wonder why you've got fucking military planes flying over your head, Pablo.
I need protection.
Anyway, so should we get to the hour 2 of this fiasco? Because then they decided that for 9 o'clock, for about the next 20 or 25 minutes, they were going to have just random guys come out, one after every 2 minutes, and all wrestle until somebody won one fucking fall. So they ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There was 8 of them finally before it was over with. And I can't remember what they called it, but I just wrote the what the fuck match, but the first guy to get a pin or submission gets an international title match against Roderick Strong at the next pay-per-view. And at least half the guys in this match were bigger stars than Roderick Strong, and it would be a step down for them to fucking have a match against Roderick Strong for this pissy-ass fake fucking belt that he won from the mascot. Including their newest billion-dollar baby, Will Ostrich himself, who was sandwiched in the middle of this thing and getting the shit kicked out of him at one point by Commander. And it just went on and on. Jay White, Dante Martin, then here came Penthouse, and Kyle O'Reilly. He's just one of the boys already, and is about to get the fucking beat. Is the triumphant babyface 2 years after his goddamn near career-ending injury. He's lost twice in 3 days. Maybe it should have ended. Apparently, they're trying to put an end to it. And then they throw Willie Boy out there. And all it was everybody would do a spot and then everybody would roll out of the ring or lay there and sell just nothing for minutes at a time so that a couple of other guys can get their shit in. And at one point, there was guys just walking around out on the floor watching the other guys in the fucking match. And then Lance Archer and then Commander. So earlier, did you watch this at all, or were you just trying to get to the finish?
No, I watched it. I mean, there were some parts I didn't care too much, but I'm an Ospreay fan, so I wanted to see him, and he was in this.
All right, well, at one point, Archer and Ostrich had come face to face, and fucking Will hits him with a couple of forearms, and Archer no-sells him, and just bam, one shot knocked him fucking out. Boom, right? So there, fuck you. Then Commander comes out, and this microscopic little fucking idiot comes out, walks the top rope, and gives Archer a Hurricane Rana through 2 tables. Because it's no DQ. So the guy that just knocked Will Archer, Lance knocked Will out with one shot, and then a midget fucking threw him 10 feet. And then Commander got in there and out-wrestled Will Ostrich. And Commander backflip splashed Kyle O'Reilly off the top rope. Looked like it fucking about killed him. And then Will stole the fucking win by hitting Commander in the back of the head with the elbow. 1, 2, 3. So Will Ostrich has to go 20 minutes through all this with all these mid-card fucking guys. And it ends up getting the shit kicked out of him by jobbers in the process, and then has to steal a win from the biggest job guy in the match. And from behind. And and then Roddy and Taven and Bennett and Wardlow came out, and Adam Cole came out walking gingerly, and they just stood there and stared at, and now that's obviously, unless somebody has gone out of their mind, and as much as I'm a fan of Roderick Strong's work, not the way he's been presented, I'm not going to advocate for him to defeat Will Ostrich. So that means that they're going to put this bogus preliminary international title on Will. And what the fuck good is that going to do? Then that just means he's got a belt, so he doesn't need to challenge for one of the other, maybe, ones that might mean something, like the world title. I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
And when's that match? Because that's the more frightening part. Are we going to get weeks of Will Ospreay having to deal with the Undisputed Kingdom?
Do they still call them that, or I thought they were the Devil's Henchmen now? Or the Devil's Kingdom?
Adam Cole could walk again, so we forgive him that he was evil and mean.
And forgive him his trespasses and those he has trespassed against, as well as any other trespassers that happen to be passing by. Well, would you like to know what the passers-by outside of Daly's place heard next? Because we didn't, unfortunately, the audio actually worked for some of this for me, but the Learning Tree Chris Jericho in the ring. And he's got the FTW title belt that he won from Hook, and he's got his nameplate on it now, the Learning Tree Chris Jericho. But do they think that he's like doing the Bill Murray lounge singer imitation, over the top version of a lounge singer is what Jericho is doing, the over top version of a heel wrestler. All the cliches, but with a wink in his eye. I'm bask in my glory, the magnitude of me type of thing. And thank you. I know you all were supportive of me. This is just suddenly is he schizophrenic? Is he on some kind of psychotropic medication that has completely changed his public personality over the past 2 months or whatever? Or is it just that everybody realizes that he's inventing another thing for him to do, and it's not believable, and it's over the top, that doesn't get real heat, it gets go away heat, and that's why they're chanting, "Please retire" at the pay-per-view? Your comments, please.
It took a while, but the AEW fans all seemingly caught up with what was really happening. Jericho's matches were terrible, his angles were terrible, his feuds were terrible, his promos were lame, his ideas were lame, and no one ever came out of it for the better except for him, because he survived. He should just trademark the bloodsucker, because that's really what it's becoming. And did it to Hook. Now they're playing into that, which I think in their eyes is the brilliant part.
Well, yeah, but that's what I was going to ask you, is it might be brilliant to play into it by this giving him a real evil edge. Fuck you people, the way you think about me now for all I've done for you and blah, blah, blah. And instead it's the over-the-top fake parade wave. Oh, yes, we've all done it together. I'm basking in the booze that I think are cheers somehow. How is that?
It's everything. It was the promo where he announced that we're sports entertainers, not wrestlers. Nothing is believable. Jericho has bad ideas, and then he poorly executes the bad ideas. And this reeks of Jericho. Copyright that, Chris, or trademark it, whatever it may be. This reeks of Jericho.
But now, you know what? The reek of Jericho instead of the list. But you would think that if you had a rotten idea and executed it poorly, that would be a double negative and it would turn out good. But apparently it doesn't.
But again, he's stuck in the Jericho vortex where his own head is sucked inside his own ass. So I think because of that, it's tough for Chris to really see what's the expression?
Well,
The sky, if not for the trees.
You can't see the forest for the trees.
That's
but
right.
he might not be able to see the wind, the way the wind is blowing for his colon, but I'll tell you what, he ought to be able to smell it. But anyway, then Big Bill came out, and they've got him do the same thing. Remember, we were talking about Big Bill last couple times we saw him talk. He had a little fire to him. He and Ricky Starks, who apparently is on the Federal Witness Protection Program now, were the tag team champions.
Again, Ricky Starks has disappeared multiple times, especially when things were going on. You can't right now say that things wouldn't be better if they kept the belts on Big Bill and Ricky Starks and just had Sting retire without the tag belts.
Yes, of course it would.
But now, not only did that not happen, they broke up the tag team. Because now he's going to be working with Jericho. We've already seen Jericho and Ricky Starks. We don't need to see that ever again.
Well, and that's the thing is Big Bill came out and did the same point. That's the point I was making before you interrupted me. He was doing good on the talking. He was doing good on the working. We were praising him, petting him on the head. But now he came out and either he doesn't believe this shit or it's just that the material is rotten and it's not natural to him, but he's doing the equally over-the-top kiss-ass promo about how great Chris Jericho is and how he wants to sit under his learning tree instead of saying, hey, be Big Bill and say, hey, Jericho, a lot of people say different things about you, but you've made it to the top and you've stayed there. And if you put a knife in somebody's back, well, I'd like to learn the right spot to put a knife in a motherfucker's back too. So how about you teaching me some of this shit? And I'll help you out because I'm a big man, as you've noticed, and I cover the ground I walk on. That type of thing.
As you've noticed.
As you've noticed. Instead, he comes out, he's verbally blowing him. So it's a suck-up promo, but anyway, so now Big Bill, as you mentioned, and Little Chris.
And no one gave a shit. And this in front of friends and family in Jacksonville. And 50 military free tickets for seat fillers.
Yes.
And they didn't give a shit. This Jericho stuff's getting lamer and lamer and bombing more and more in front of their fans. I can't wait to see where this goes. Because of the fan reactions.
Well, yeah, that's... I mean, then can he say, well, yes, they're supposed to boo me. Yeah, but they're not supposed to fucking stand up, turn their backs, and throw rotten tomatoes, Chris.
Yeah, again, the pay-per-view, they chanted, please retire and go home, Jericho. And the spin on the Observer site, from what I saw, was that he had great heat. He had just amazing heat. Fans were saying, go home. They weren't even saying go to his home. They were actually calling for the finish. Go home! Go home!
Wait a minute. I'm thinking about, they like to do the sing-alongs, like I'm trying to get the tune. We'd like to see you gone. Please leave for good. We'd like to not see you here or there or anywhere. Would that work?
That may work on that topic real quick. Apparently I was right. They really do chant for him. I'll spray, I'll spray, I'll spray, I'll spray.
Oh, God damn it.
This is the time. There's never going to be a better time than now to bring it up because of the singing.
Well. So speaking of the man himself, they were in the back of the building, apparently not too far away from the front of the building in this joint. And Don Fallis is so happy that his boy Will won. But he says, why wouldn't you use the Tiger Driver 94? And, and apparently Will is not going to use that anymore because, he could have hurt Bryan Danielson. And
at the media scrum, again, you have to remember they're working during these media scrums. You may get some legit answers, but a lot of this stuff they're trying to keep kayfabe going.
Yeah.
He said and very seriously, and seemed upset that he hurt his childhood hero, Bryan Danielson. He's retiring that move. He will never do that move ever again. So now they're playing into it here without playing that audio of him saying it.
Well, wait, was he the same guy that dropped Kenny right on his fucking head and looked like it about killed him. And there was a controversy. And Kenny's like, oh, we're professionals.
Right. And apparently Rossi Ogawa slipped him a 50. So take care of Omega.
I don't know where he slipped him a 50 or a Mickey or what he slipped him, but he dropped Kenny right on his fucking head, and it looked like a fight should have erupted. But he put Danielson down safely, right on his, safer than a mama's cradle in a baby's arms or whatever the goddamn. What do you put babies in, and where are they most safe?
Well, they go in a crib. You still have to watch them. They're babies. But again, it's
when
not about...
does the cradle fall out of the tree? Why do you put a cradle in a fucking tree to begin with?
I don't know what is going on.
That always used to scare me when my mama Cornette would sing, rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. If the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. Every time she'd walk me near a tree, I'd get panicked and run away. I'm like, Mama, don't stick me in a fucking tree.
Look, things used to be really fucked up, but we're talking about this here, and we were talking about this here. What were we saying?
Yes,
we were saying something.
I was saying that he retired the move where he dropped Kenny on his head, but he didn't retire it then. I guess he wanted to fuck Kenny up. Fuck you, you're paralyzed. But he in a working manner now, he put Danielson down safely, but he feels bad about it. And he has remorse coming out of his pores. Maybe that's what's wrong with Chuck Taylor.
And that's what they're building to. That's what they like to build to, is the idea that he's going to have a conflict mid-match about doing a move that he needs to do to win.
Oh, Christ.
That's what a lot of what they call now like the next level psychology. Not to even put it down, but that's what it is. It's literally like right now.
Yeah, it's
now
next
he's
level.
saying it. Right now he's saying it, and then he'll tease this for a while, and then eventually a year down the line he'll need it to win the title, and he won't do it.
That's next level because it's all the way up on a top shelf where nobody can reach it.
Or he will do it and cross over to the dark side.
Yeah. Or you could just kick somebody in the fucking balls when the title's on the line. But nevertheless.
But even this promo, they couldn't make sense of the fact that Ospreay's a babyface. Fletcher's a heel who keeps losing, but you feel bad for him. He's there like a baby.
That's what that's what I was about to say, is that while Don is saying, hey, I don't care whose neck gets broken, drop them all on their head, whatever, he's also bullying. Felcher said, well, the last person somebody needs to talk about winning tonight, just shut up. So Will's the most popular babyface to company. He's managed by the evil heel manager who is also now bullying the fucking other guy that just almost beat the world champion who got the shit kicked out of him by his own stablemate a couple of weeks ago. Do you see why this is hard to fucking follow?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, why can't they just admit that they fucked up at first and didn't realize they were going to need a babyface real bad and put Willie in the wrong group and do a little hand job and pull Willie back out and put him in the right place, just officially, instead of just belaboring this?
I saw Paul Orndorff fire Bobby Heenan as his manager when he wasn't even his manager because they just needed him to do that to make him a babyface.
Yes. Yeah. All righty. Well, now it's time for not the most important event, but the main event of the wrestling section of the program, Brian, for the IWGP title, the real world title around here, around this joint. The Japanese have taken over. First, it was the goddamn motorcycle industry. Now they've come for the wrestling. The new IWGP title holder, Plumber Moxley himself, against Powerhouse Hobbs in another of Moxley's delusional self-masturbatory fantasies that he can beat physically any one half of Hobbs with the other half helping him. So the new AEW World Champion took 15 minutes to beat Kyle Felcher by the skin of his teeth in a preliminary match on the program. And now the Plumber, in much less time than that, is going to basically just choke this giant muscle-bound beast out in the middle of the fucking ring.
Ridiculous.
He is so insanely up his own ass, is Plumber Moxley, that he looks in the mirror and believes I should be choking out Powerhouse Hobbs.
If there's video going around of any wrestler getting choked out in entry-level shit in competitions, they shouldn't be allowed to use this stuff in the ring.
No.
The videos are going around. So the idea, like you said, I'm sure Hobbs could probably handle himself really well in a fight, but Hobbs is going to get choked out by this guy that was getting choked out by that guy in the video?
Well, that means that the fucking Papa John's delivery guy that choked out Moxley in the amateur jiu-jitsu tournament ought to be able to make Hobbs his prison bitch, doesn't it?
I don't know if that's how it works. I don't know how prison got into this, but...
Well, it does. As soon as you go to work for Papa John's, you're going to find out, kid.
Well, I'll tell you what, Powerhouse Hobbs is in the prison of bad booking, and he never, ever, ever, no matter who's managing him, no matter who he's with, he never could leave it. There's a guy, I want to know when his contract runs out, because he needs to get as far away from AEW as he can.
He's never going to learn anything having garbage matches with a buggy whip-armed, bald-headed wino. And as long as these indie-minded goofs over there act like Moxley is somebody and treat him like somebody who knows how to lead a match or have a match at this point, you know, that because you know Hobbs not going to say, well, hey, Moxley, maybe we can do a little of this. No, it's going to be Moxley's bullshit that Moxley does. It looks like a pro football player fighting a fucking homeless guy that just stepped out of a tent.
Yeah.
And within 90 seconds, they're on the floor and over the rail and out in the arena, and it looked like two drunks having a fight in a swimming pool. And they stayed out there for almost 3 minutes while the referees and the fans stood slack-jawed and stared at them. It just didn't, because Moxley, meaning he, cannot do anything else. And he thinks it's good for some reason. And this is where they crash to the break with Tony in mid-sentence. And just suddenly, boom, and it's picture in picture.
Shivani never sounded better.
It was actually an acne commercial, I think. We were clearing blemishes off the screen. So then they came back, and that's Moxley put Hobbs in the corner. You know where they get up on the turnbuckles, they got the guy trapped in the corner, and sometimes the baby face will do the 10 punches, and the people will count along or whatever. That position, right? Moxley punched him 48 times. The last 20 or so, he was just swinging both fists over the top of Hobbs's head without even worrying about whether they were near contact or not.
Death Jitsu.
If that must be it. It must be the wind generated from the goddamn stank of his underarms when he flails his arms about that disables his goddamn opponents. And then he fucking gave Hobbs, he punches him in the corner 48 times, as I mentioned, about the last half or so, making no contact whatsoever. And then he double-arm DDTs him, his finish, and gets a 2 count. And then he just rolled over the top of him, put the choke on him, and choked him out, and the referee stopped it. That's what I had to say about that match.
And we get the big challenge. So Moxley could beat another talented guy who's getting held down. Moxley versus Takeshita.
Oh, was that who he was saying was a fucking dead man?
Takeshita is challenging Moxley now.
Okay, well, because when he was Moxley, meaning he, was looking at the camera and screaming, but you couldn't hear it. The only thing I heard was fucking dead man. And I thought, well, yeah, but you're an unprofessional fucking drunk, so there's that to look forward to. Ay. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Wait a second. I'm getting some breaking news. We got breaking news in this program, Brian. We can't go any further without revealing the breaking news. Next week on Dynamite, the return of Kenny Olivier. Old Twinkle Toes is back, baby.
In his hometown, right?
Well, do they claim him?
Where is it? Is it Winnipeg?
Is there a sign? Is there a sign saying birthplace of or don't come back?
Do I hear your gardeners or my gardeners? Or someone's gardeners?
I don't have any gardeners here.
That you know of?
Earl Stanley's stopping by later on, but otherwise I have...
So it's interesting. Obviously, we've seen Kenny starring recently on video game streams where he's just What's the expression? Drinking tea, tossing tea,
spilling the tea.
He's
drinking tea.
He's drinking tea. Served by Michael Nakazawa. Funny enough,
he's slurping the tea.
So in the middle of all that, now they announce not that he's appearing. They said Kenny Omega returns.
Well, we are understanding that, that he's still diverted with his diverticulitis and is still a long time away from a wrestling return. So are they trying to use his imminent star power, his magnificent ratings record to try to draw a rating off of his name? He's going to come out and give a rah-rah speech. Is he going to come down and dress out? Come out and dress down? Or is he going to berate or chastise his former buddies for their behavior, possibly, you wonder?
I think that's what it is. I think hometown crowd, he'll be there. I think you hope it'll pop a number, but it's not going to really do it when the announcement is, that doesn't really help. It was just on the bottom of the screen that they showed it. But I do think if he is going to get surgery for diverticulitis and definitely be out for a while, and he can take some sort of bump, what better way to solidify?
If you needed surgery because your intestines might explode, are you going to take a bump?
Well, he loves the Young Bucks. They're friends in real life, but they could, of course, attack him with Jungle Jack and Okada.
Hey, this may be their fucking opportunity to get back at him for what he vaguely said about potentially not being mad at CM Punk. You moved. As his intestines are splayed all over the canvas.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. The guy who this whole angle is based around is going to be the one guy whose name they won't mention ever. But that's that's the news. Kenny Omega's big return next week, whatever that constitutes.
It's good to see Kenny's back, especially after seeing his front. But anyway, we move on now to the main event of the evening that everybody was talking about. That, Brian, I don't know if we called this specifically with Tony and AEW. We've talked about the subject. We talked about it with Dixie Carter and TNA, and this is not a urban legend. It's a rule of thumb practically in the wrestling business down through history, and small companies and large, and in outlaw situations all across the width and breadth of the great country of ours. If you found a fucking angel, a backer, a money mark, an investor, whatever term that you wanted to use, that was not motivated by business, but more of the love of the game and or being involved in it, and or some of the people that might be involved in it. When they start losing patience or things look bad, come up with an angle to put them on TV. Has this not happened umpteen times over the years?
Well, I'll say two things. One, sadly, my first thought as this was happening was Dixie Carter. Fair or not, that was my thought. Secondly, I called this a few years ago. Tony's going to make himself an on-air character. That's what he really wants. I also said he'll end up sleeping with talent, but we'll see.
Now, I see. I couldn't take that leap with you. I was with everything else. I couldn't take that leap.
But he made himself an on-air character. That is what he has wanted to do, and they're trying to do it to launch this. When the NWO happened, Hall and Nash were pretty big. I mean, they were big names, even without having to use their names. It changed business right away when they arrived. And then they added Hogan, an established name, whose turn was a massive deal.
And then they added Bischoff when Vince got over as a heel.
And Bischoff wanted to be on TV more as a character and have fun with his friends or the guys he wanted to hang out with.
And he's very good at it. We can't say he's not.
Bischoff is an exceptional on-air performer, I think. But the point is, you can't even compare this to Bischoff. Bischoff was aligned with a stable that was over.
But that's what I'm. We don't have Kevin Nash. We don't have Scott Hall. We don't have Eric Bischoff. We don't have Hulk Hogan. We got Tony Khan, the Buckaroos, Cody, and Jungle Jackoff. And remember what I said at the top about this was the worst time to present an amateur production of whether it be the amateur booking or amateur talent or amateur production, whatever. But can you imagine Tony Schiavone standing there in the ring, introduces the man of the hour, old Jungle Jack, and all 800 fans in the crowd sing "Cry Me a River" because they're the hometown fans. But he calls out Tony Khan and Tony wanders out. Can you imagine? Again, I know this is pie in the sky dreaming, but if they had the average viewer, the average fan, somebody that might want to bump these numbers up any at all from where they've been forever. They're used to seeing Vince McMahon or Eric Bischoff or Triple H. Here comes the guy that runs the thing. And then here comes Rick Moranis' stunt double. And they're saying, this is the guy that runs the thing?
That's not fair. He looked like Rick Moranis' stunt double when he still had his glasses and he was still getting haircuts and he was still trying to look neat and proper. When he got involved with the wrestling project, all of a sudden, once things got going and he was on the road all the time with the wrestlers, the hair started growing. He doesn't shave. He looked unkempt. His hair was a mess. He had no presence. Yeah.
Is he smiling or grimacing, or is he constipated?
All of that. And more.
He's uneasy. He's got irritable bowels. He looks like his skin is literally crawling. And Jungle Jack, then, once he gets Tony in the ring after he's called him out, he turns his back on Tony and starts telling his story to the handheld camera. And then it's more shit about how they've changed the world. They've changed the world. Yes, it used to not have a bad wrestling program on it.
But it looks at him, Steve Simpson and Sean Simpson changed the world.
Yeah, except no, the Simpson boys were significantly taller.
Okay.
Than Jungle Boy.
Fair enough.
And then he's giving Tony the babyface speech, and he swears to Tony that the only thing that he's ever wanted is what's best for AEW. And Tony, it claps then. He's clapping, and he looks touched. And can you see even if they're supposed to be keeping tension and storyline only, and they're all best friends, can you see a similar situation where a top guy that has just interfered and cost the World Tag Team title to go to the fucking heels, and the company head, whether it be the Bischoff or the Vince or the Triple H or whatever, or the Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce, having a goddamn confrontation, and when the fucking guy who healed is pitching his case, the authority figure is applauding what he says and clapping for him and smiling.
You know what? I've always had a problem with you calling Kenny Omega Harpo, because I love the Marx Brothers. I know their work really well. And that's why I think I could say this was a Harpo Marx performance. He said nothing. He reacted with his face, his eyebrows, his hands. All he needed was a horn. But he's out there. He's just like, he's a character. When you watch him, he's just constantly in motion and twitching and moving and reacting in both positive and negative ways to the same thing being said, because his head is constantly going. And I guess we're going to be seeing more of this.
Well, then it finally, and old Jack says, please shake my hand and reinstate me so we can change the world together. And Tony smiles and nods and gives the fans the thumbs up and shakes Jungle Boy's hand and gives him the Tony Khan hug. And that's when old Jack opens his eyes and smiles ominously at the camera, like I've suckered him. And then Jack raises Tony's hand and lets him get some cheers from the crowd, and then turns around And with the hand he's got the microphone in, so it would have made some noise if it actually had worked, I guess. But he gives him a gut shot, a punch to the stomach. Whereupon Tony takes 1 second to react at all and then takes a flat back bump. And somebody on Twitter said, well, here's what happened. Tony's head was so far up his own ass that the punch to the gut knocked him out. And that's what it looked like.
He took a flat back bump, he landed, knocked out, and then all of a sudden he woke up and grabbed his stomach and rolled over.
Yes. And then exposed his ass to the world. And then as he's laying there, then here comes the Buckaroos and O'Cody acting like, oh, what the fuck has happened here? What have you done? And they're telling Jack, get back, stay away from him. And they help Tony up. And of course, they tease. When Maddie and Nikki help him up, they tease giving him their shitty little double knee lift, but they help him up to his feet. And then Matt scoops him up like a sack of flour, and they give him the safest ever Meltzer driver. Olaf, the one brother that does the flip, what's his name? Nicky. His ass takes some punishment on that move, but Maddie dropped Tony. His head wasn't 6 inches from the ring. But then they dropped him and they all stood up and stood there and glorified while the referees checked on Tony. And the announcers were laying out like it'd just been the Kennedy assassination. Either that or their microphones had completely gone out. We don't know. And then once the heels wander around and then leave, as soon as they've gone through the entranceway, through the same entranceway, 5 seconds later comes every fucking job guy and underneath wrestler on the fucking card, followed by Shad Khan himself, who I saw on again on Twitter. Somebody had a nice fucking picture of him looking all concerned, but the caption was, "Give him another one. Where's my money? Fuck the game.
Where's my money? Where's my money, Tony?"
But so then, and I'll let you begin commenting, but then they were off the air, by the way, exactly at 10 o'clock because they had some kind of important game this week and couldn't futz with their numbers. But after the thing went off the air, there's footage on Twitter that a couple of stagehand-looking guys help Tony up to his feet and throw one arm over each of their shoulders, and Tony shuffles out under his own power after taking the dreaded gut punch from Ox Baker Perry and the Meltzer driver from the fucking Buckaroos, and they can't even pop for a stretcher for him. Your thoughts?
I didn't see any of that post-match stuff, so I can't comment on it. But again, Tony's out there. He just doesn't have any presence on camera. The other thing is, we know who Tony is. And Tony's been shown just a tiny little bit lately with some of these elite segments. And he's made announcements in the past. But Tony's not really like someone the audience is invested. I shouldn't say that.
For the people watching this show, they know who Tony is and they like him. For the people watching religiously. But again, they're narrow casting for anybody they might get besides the people they already got. They're the ones saying, this fucking weasel is running this thing and these children are dropping him on his head. What the fuck is going on here?
And when you see Tony in there with them, Okada has some size. Tony was just as big as Jack Perry and the Bucks, and they all look ridiculous. That's the thing. The NWO looked like badasses, looked like
intimidating.
Adults. Even DX in their own way. But the Bucks and Jack Perry, it's like the two guys that Punk kicked the shit out of and the guy that Punk was about to kick the shit out of. And Okada. And Okada's like a sore thumb.
He didn't have the chance to kick the shit out of him.
And Okada's like he's like Lurch behind them. Because what's his role? His role is, you're in the role of what Cody would have been. What is this role that he has with the Elite?
The role is he rolls up to the bank every week for almost nothing. That's what his role is.
Tony's made limited appearances. Shad Khan's never made an appearance, or if he has, it's nothing of note and nothing recent. So the big thing at the end where he shows up, the fans aren't even going to really know what that is.
Well, he was only on the air for 15 seconds maybe or whatever anyway.
And we called that. And by the way, we said he was going to come back and then he was going to form his stable of constables.
And who is going to be the first constable that he ought to call the cops and say, my son has embezzled $150 million from me. But that's...
Why wouldn't the first thing be, okay, fire them? Thanks, guys. I just want to say, I've never felt my life was in more danger, except one other time. But this time it was much more... Actually, I got hurt.
Yeah. Well,
they fired Punk for making him feel like this for pushing a monitor or whatever. What about the Bucks and Jack Perry?
Well, yes. And I mean, even in a working way, would you be more trepidatious about your future when a guy's fucking yelling at you that he quits because the place is a fucking joke? Or when some fucking guy the same size as you that might or might not be able to fucking hold you in the right place is fucking picking you upside down and going to drop you on your head. I think I'd be more nervous in that position.
If Tony Khan was going to do something physical on this show, and I think it was always an inevitable thing. Again, it's for Jack Perry and the Young Bucks. Young Bucks are dead on arrival right now, and they're trying everything they can. Jack Perry, let's see how long it lasts. Again, he's a tiny guy. And they're going to be the badass heel faction in a company filled with heel factions?
Well, but besides that, like you said, it was going to happen eventually because this is Tony's dream. It's another part of his dream. Now, I might actually get to take a bump in the ring and the fans will be worried about me. Wow, that'll be cool. And it'll all be part of this big angle. This isn't Bill Watts coming out of retirement for the last Stampede. I'm sorry to tell you. Theoretically, this should have been a fucking major moment, and it would have been if they'd have built something and then used talent properly in fucking putting their hands on a goddamn owner of the company. But instead, it's with these fucking children that nobody cares about to begin with. It was executed in such a rotten way because Tony can't do anything physical. And nobody gives a shit. Except the reason why this was such a hot topic and everybody was talking about it is because it looks so desperate now. And everybody was making fun of it. And everyone's like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't know if that's good publicity for of the pulling the trigger on theoretically the biggest angle that you could fucking do. Laying out the boss.
And now someone has to get even on behalf of the boss. And you can't just fire the heels because then no one can get even, I guess. And who could beat up the Young Bucks and Jack Perry there? I have no idea. If they drag FTR back into this, I don't think it works.
How many more times do they have to be beaten? You know, at this point, just wipe your feet on them and be done with it.
And that's the other thing. Are we going to get a running, like Mr. McMahon type thing where it's Tony all over the show now? And this is the beginning of that? Or is this just, let's use me as a thing to hopefully get people talking?
Well, I mean, obviously, he doesn't need to do anything physical.
And by the way, and let me just bring up to you, because I don't know if you'd be aware of this, the NFL draft is today as we are recording. And NFL Films, I believe, announced they were doing a documentary. They were following Tony Khan.
Okay.
With a camera.
Okay, well, that's perfect. That's why they did. It's not about fucking business. It's about, well, this is perfect timing for Tony to be able to take a big old wrestling move from his action figures, and it can be captured on NFL Films documentary fucking footage. Well, there you go. Whether it was his idea or whether they put him up to it, they know that it has warmed Tony's cockles to be able to do this at this time. But is he supposed to go to the NFL draft?
I don't know if he goes there or if they sit in the conference room and just call it in.
Well, if he's going to be being documented by the documentary people, shouldn't he have some kind of goddamn overnight hospital stay? Shouldn't he have had a neck brace on? Shouldn't he be? Hey, I did the neck brace thing on fucking Regis and Kathy Lee. The least he can do is for the NFL draft. There's probably fewer people watching that now than Regis and Kathy Lee from 30 years ago.
I'm on the Jacksonville Jaguars website, which is an official NFL website. They control all the websites for the teams.
Oh, I thought you meant the NFL now was in control of all the websites already. I was going to check mine.
This is by Grant Gordon. Jaguars Tony Khan takes punch and pile driver on AEW Dynamite show. Tony Khan's status for the Jacksonville Jaguars 2024 NFL draft obligations could be questionable. Khan, the Jags' chief football strategy officer and the founder, owner, and booker of All Elite Wrestling, took a punch to the gut and a Meltzer driver, pile driver, Wednesday Night Live on AEW Dynamite from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Shad Khan, Tony's father and owner of the Jaguars, took to the ring to check on his son in the aftermath of the drama. It's all part of an angle, professional wrestling storyline, of course, but it was shocking nonetheless, as Tony Khan has never been physically involved in AEW to that extent, and his father's appearance added more realism to the stunning end of the show.
It would have been hard to take any realism away.
Many people who know Tony Khan said it's not surprising to hear that Tony did a few bumps. He's been known to do bumps.
Wait, oh, back up.
I'm making that up. I'm making that one up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All in the name of fun, ladies and gentlemen.
Took a few bumps. Maybe.
It began with the returning Jack Perry, son of the late actor Luke Perry, and Tony Khan in the ring together, mending fences after Perry's very real suspension had been lifted. Perry had made his AEW return this past weekend after he had been absent following a legitimate backstage altercation with wrestler CM Punk,
where he got goozled,
which led to the latter's dismissal from the company. Blurring the lines between storyline and reality once again on Wednesday, Perry's embrace with Khan was all for show, as he delivered a punch with a microphone to Khan's breadbasket, felling his boss in the process. It's written like it's in PWI in 1975. Thereafter, the Young Bucks tag team, brothers Matt and Nick, who are executive vice presidents within the company along with being on-screen talent, and top single star Kazuchika Okada, entered the fray and scolded Perry. Once more, it was only a ruse, as Matt scooped up Khan and held him in position for younger sibling Nick to take to the top rope, fly off into a front flip, and come down to spike the helpless Khan.
The helpless Khan.
As could be expected, Khan was protected well in the maneuver by the Bucks, revered workers within the business for nearly 2 decades.
Yeah, protected well. My Aunt Lola could have taken that bump.
What unfolds next could come Saturday on AEW's weekly Collision and Rampage offerings. That's also day 3 of the NFL Draft, which kicks off Thursday from Detroit. With round 1, the Jaguars currently hold the number 17 overall pick. Whether head coach Doug Peterson and general manager Trent Balk, if that is indeed his name, can count on Tony Khan recovering from the heinous attack by Perry and the Young Bucks on Wednesday in Duval remains to be seen. So they're now doing that.
What is Tony's title there in the football team? He's the chief
strategy officer.
Strategy. So does he come up with like goddamn okay on 2, forward pass, drop back and punt, whatever? I thought that was the coach's job. What strategies is he implementing?
You know, it's like when people hire their daughters and make them chief marketing officer or something.
Well, I'm
chief brand officer.
I'm just trying to ask a simple question. I wonder what strategies that Tony is coming up with that he's passing on to the football team.
And when all of his great strategies are obviously going to wrestling, but that's how it's been covered by the NFL, the big news. He's taken a punch and a pile driver from the dastardly heels.
A punch and a pile driver. Punch and pie. Punch and pie.
The question's going to be, and we're going to travel through time momentarily, Jim. The question's going to be the ratings because, again, if you tuned in wanting to see what was going to happen, not knowing anything, the audio was really bad. If you stayed through that, there were things that were on the screen that you may not have been able to hear, like Kenny Omega returning. But the Bucks thing was announced an hour before it happened, or the Bucks and Jack Perry, Tony Khan thing. So we don't know how many people would have been driven to the show. Now, again, they had a hard out because of the NFL, not the NFL, the NHL hockey. So you got to think people were ready. Whoever wanted to see that game may have been sitting there ready. The question's going to be how they did in that last quarter, which is traditionally the worst quarter of every show.
Well, at least they finished on time. But that's the problem, is that I think now, they've figured, okay, Tony will have more faith in this if he's in it, or if it's, he had a part in it and we know he wants to take a bump. And that because nobody can possibly have thought that this would be good with the people involved and the way that it was executed. It's just purposely to give Tony another thrill and get these guys more indemnity to continue not to produce any kind of numbers. Well, Tony can't cut us. He's in the thing. He was part of it.
What do you think will be next? Do you think they're going to talk him into the ring? Come on, Tony, you got to do it. Come on, Tony. Only you could do it. Come on, you have to.
I don't think that's going to happen until after the next rights deal goes down. Then, if it doesn't go the way that it's supposed to go, we might see Tony Khan as an active wrestler.
They have a new world champion. Is anyone talking about that at all?
No. Why the fuck would they talk about that?
Well, we will see what happens, and I guess more than anything, we'll see how much this overwhelms the show, and we'll see what the audience reaction is. Jim? I slipped. That didn't sound good either. Let's travel through time.
And then are we going to, after we travel through time, are we going to travel back to come right back where we started from so that we can continue what we were doing and where we were going till we get there?
No, we're not going to go back to where we started from. We're going to travel back after we go forward. We're going to travel back to right after right here.
Okay. Then I won't pack extra socks.
All right, that sounds good. I'm not even going to wear socks. I like my flip-flops. Let's travel through time and talk about these ratings for this banner episode of AEW Dynamite. All right, we are here in the pleasant future. It's ratings time, everyone's favorite weekly game show.
I'm right here, got my pads, my paper, my pen, ready to write these numbers down. Very important numbers for the big after the pay-per-view extravaganza television program that nobody could hear and it was painful to watch.
Now, a few notes before we give these ratings. Obviously, strong competition, and...
What? Are they still doing the Final Four?
Well, the West Coast was live. So there was...
Well, are they usually dead? What's the matter with the people on the West Coast?
Well, I guess usually they would get it at 8 p.m. Pacific, not 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Well, why'd they get it at a different time this week?
I think because of the hockey game, if I had to guess. Maybe.
Oh, because they wanted the hockey game in a time slot where people out there would watch, unlike this program.
That's right, and according to apparently what Dave Meltzer wrote, they were down 8% due. There's an 8% due specifically to the West Coast being live.
So 8%, that means we add 8% onto this number to make them even. That's what Dave is. Somebody on Twitter said Dave Meltzer would like to be able to kiss AEW on the mouth.
Well, we don't know for sure if he has or has not done that before. But Jim, AEW Dynamite, Wednesday, April 24th, Jacksonville, Florida, 8 to 10 p.m. sharp. On average, was watched by 683,000 viewers.
Oh!
It is the lowest rating for a Dynamite ever, excluding preemptions. Excluding when it didn't air.
Excluding when it did not air. This is the worst. It's the least good it's ever done. Oh, Mike, what was last week? 700 and something thousand? We said, oh, shit, the bottom's falling out.
Last week was a disaster, too, 762. This is 18% off that.
So they were down 10% even without the people in fucking Oregon, Washington, and California. And for anybody that happens to be in Montana or wherever the fuck that is in time zone category.
Well, let's see how they came in. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. 8 to 8:15 p.m., quarter one. The Elite and Jack Perry. It says Angle. Was that just when they arrived?
They walked out of the SUV and said shit. So
the Elite and Jack Perry arrive with bad audio. The Trent Beretta, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor live promo and Angle. John Moxley's muted backstage promo. Followed by the beginning of Swerve Strickland versus Kyle Fletcher. 792,000 viewers.
Oh, Jesus Christ, on a Ritz cracker.
316,000 in the key demo.
That's the lowest they've ever stood. What happened to the Big Bang? Was it the Big Bust this week? Did they preempt the bangers?
Maybe on the West Coast, people are not watching the Big Bang Theory live. Was it even one of the shows that... Again, if this aired live there, that means their schedule on the West Coast may have been a little bit differently. Correct?
Does that account for 200,000 fucking people? 150,000 people that they normally more start this? Oh.
And again, we always talk about the fact that whatever they start with, that's not the real number because that's a minute of the Big Bang Theory. This is without that minute, apparently, for some people. But quarter two, 8:15, 8:30 p.m., the continuation of Strickland versus Fletcher with picture-in-picture ads, the Thunder Rosa Deonna Purrazzo backstage angle, and an ad break, 716,000 viewers.
Ooh, okay, so 76,000 people said, we can't do this anymore.
Well, we go into quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m., Mina Shirakawa versus Anna Jay with picture-in-picture, and the post-match with Mariah May and Toni Storm. 709,000 viewers.
That's a miracle that they only lost 7,000.
Well, we then go to 8:45 to 9 p.m., quarter four. Serena Deeb's muted ramp promo, an ad break, the Willow Nightingale celebration with Mercedes Moné, the Jack Perry and Matt Jackson backstage promo, I guess that's when they went to Tony's locker room, 694,000 viewers.
And again, they're holding up quite well for the content that they're providing. But now they're down, 98,000 people in 1 hour from the lowest start ever.
Well, we now go to the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m., quarter five. The AEW International Title #1 Contendership Gauntlet match with picture-in-picture twice. 629,000 viewers.
Oh. So they lost another 65,000 people at the top of the hour, and that's where the Will Ospreay bonus baby signing is placed in this direct. So everybody is losing numbers that it has cost him any amount of money.
We then go to quarter six, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m., the continuation of the Gauntlet match, the post-match with Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong, an ad break, and that Chris Jericho Big Bill live promo.
Ooh.
659,000 viewers.
Well, to what do you attribute 30,000 people coming to the finish of the big match?
I think it's the match and whoever was in it, what was happening, because I think the Jericho thing would have more of an effect on the next quarter based on
afterwards.
Where it is. Yeah.
Yes. So what was that quarter seven, Brian?
Quarter seven, no overrun this week. Quarter seven, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The Ospreay Don Callis, Kyle Fletcher backstage angle, an ad break, and the beginning of Moxley versus Hobbs with picture-in-picture, 607,000 viewers.
Oh, so that's the Jericho effect.
That's the Jericho effect. Kills numbers every time.
But drum roll, please, everybody. Everybody's been waiting with bated breath. The guys that are going to come back and change the world and save us all, and Tony Khan's big debut on television.
We now go to the final quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. I'll also give the key demo number here. The continuation of Moxley versus Hobbs. The post-match, Renee Paquette's interview with Katsuyori Shibata. The backstage, oh no, it says backstage angle. There was no angle, it was an interview. And finally, the Jack Perry, Tony Khan Elite angle and not hospitalization. He walked out. I just saw the video before you mentioned.
Yeah.
657,000 viewers and 330 in the key demo. That is the high point of the show.
Holy crapola. So they actually got 50,000 people to tune in to this thing to see Tony get dropped on his head.
Or there were people waiting for the hockey game.
You
know, again, it's a different kind of night because of that and how it screws things up. But there are people who are tuning into that channel just waiting for the game.
But there's still, even if you account for the fact that, yes, some people had to tune in expecting the game, they're still down for their big main event and for their big angle, 135,000 people from where they started, which was the lowest ever. So what's the 8% on top of this? What if we're...
And again, it's far below the trend line. So even with the 8%, that's, I think, based on what I'm seeing here, it would still be below the trend line.
What's 8% of... If they'd have done another 79,000 people from where they started, that would be 10%, and that'd still only put them at 850,000 or so. And that was the highest rated quarter, not the whole fucking show. So I don't... poor Uncle Dave. Anyway, I will say this now. This is what's happening. 5 years ago, what was the reason for AEW? Vince McMahon was running the evil empire. He was a heel owner. He had been for years, and people knew that he really did mistreat their favorite wrestlers and fire them and not make them do stupid things, not give them respect. And they didn't like the creative. And they were mad at the company because they were mad at the guy that they were mad at. And then along comes Tony Khan. And he's pro wrestler and pro fan and for the sport and blah, blah, blah. And it's all going to be great. But then 5 years later, not only has the WWE completely eradicated Vince McMahon, and they're changing his style of booking, and they're making stars, and the company is babyface, and Triple H is a hero to people. And they love the company now because the evil Machiavellian fucking McMahon is out of there. But meanwhile, over here, despite what you want to say about the booking or the talent or anything else, Tony Khan has got himself into a situation where his two EVPs that work for him are douchebag heels being assholes to everybody and fucking people around, sometimes while he sits there next to him and nods and smiles. And then a guy that was suspended for some reason that we kind of sort of found out about a week or two ago, but not really because they couldn't tell us and they couldn't mention the other guy's name. But he comes back and screws the rightful winners of the tag team title out of the goddamn thing and gives it to the douchebag EVPs. But yet when this fucking prick asks the boss to come out and just says, reinstate me and we'll change the world together, the boss hugs him and does everything but kisses him. And so how is Tony, and if these guys are heels and they're in on the fucking office and Tony's not doing anything about it, then why am I as a viewer supposed to give a fuck what happens to this guy or his company? Does that not make sense to what I'm saying to you?
That makes sense. What AEW does doesn't make sense, and they keep doubling down on all the stupid things, and they keep listening to the people that say, oh, they're doing great. The complaints are invalid. They were number 3 on cable. Everything's fine.
They've reversed their situation. The people love the WWE office now, and the fucking AEW is a bunch of goddamn heels screwing people around.
And word's gotten around. The chaos and the childishness and the drama that was always there, it all finally got out, and people saw what a shit show it was. And they decided to counter that by putting on the worst television shows they've ever done, which their most hardcore fans say are great. They can't acknowledge the bad shit's bad.
Wait a minute, what do they say they are?
Great.
I just didn't want to disappoint anybody. Keep going.
And that's really it. I mean, we always say it. I always say it. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse from here. There's nothing that's shown you the booking is going to get better. There isn't an influx of talent that could be hired to change things. You have people there with talent who you could do things with if there was a booker. And if the booking in one segment had anything to do with the rest of the show. They have an overrun they do, except for this week. They have an overrun they do that drives people away. No one ever comes back for it. Whatever, everything, what is working? Swerve Strickland was hotter 2 months ago and a month ago, and it got cooler and cooler, and now he's the champion. It doesn't matter. Moxley's on there with another championship now. Ospreay's getting over. Naturally, he's in a heel stable. The Bucks are not over.
And he's about to win a mid-card belt or a preliminary belt.
The Bucks aren't over, and Jack Perry's only over because CM Punk slapped him around. And they're going to go with this pro wrestling guerrilla amateur hour type thing where this is the lead heel stable. Okada, Jungle Boy, and the Young Bucks. Horrible. This promotion is out of hand. They're horrible right now. That doesn't mean Will Ospreay won't have a good match, but that means that good match does nothing to negate all the other shit. That's the point.
Well, and don't forget now, if Tony Khan recovers from this brutal beating, he's going to have to do something about this, because if he fired the biggest star they've ever had because he yelled at him because he was scared for his life when that happened, then by the logic he has presented on his own television program, what's he going to do to these motherfuckers? Huh?
By the way, a tweet I just saw, the mayor of London has tweeted out something.
London, England, or London, Ontario?
London, England, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, is an election next week. London is already the sporting capital of the world. If I'm re-elected next Thursday, we'll go even further. We'll look to bring in WrestleMania, Super Bowl, and the NBA to London, and put together another bid for the 2040 Olympics. He did say we'll have AEW at Wembley. Holy
shit. Well, and being Tony's father and everything, and still saying he's going to bring WrestleMania to London.
No, this is a different Khan. This is not a member of the family.
You said Shad Khan.
I said Sadiq Khan.
I thought that was his full given name, and Shad was just a nickname.
Is Shad going to start cutting promos?
He probably already has, as soon as he got back to the locker room. You fucking idiot. What the fuck are you thinking? Where's my fucking money?
Where's the checkbook? Give me the checkbook. You're out of the will. But again, big week coming off the pay-per-view that people were raving about the matches on. Coming off, they knew they had to do something on this show, and they announced stuff in the middle of the show, even though they had bad audio. It's another disaster week for AEW, despite how some of the people who love AEW want to spin it. It's another disaster week for AEW.
Well, and again, I'm saying that they're shooting themselves in the foot, because not only are they presenting an amateurish production on several different levels when the other company is looking bigger and bolder and brighter and more expensive than it ever has, And at the same time, they're doing this thing with Tony where they're going to turn even their fans against the company because they're going to make him, or he's going to make himself, just by exposing himself on television, such a clueless putz that he deserves what he gets. They were in his corner and all these guys' corners when they were fighting the big evil corporation, and they were the wrestlers all in. We're going to do it ourselves. That was the spirit of the thing. Now this guy's a fucking mark. He's bungled all his shit. Half the people are hurt. Everybody dislikes everybody else. The booking is shite, and the fucking office is now heels. What the?
Well, the other thing too is, and I'll end with this, and they've done this before with different things, with different situations, but if you knew you were going to do this big angle, you didn't know that you're going to have audio issues, but you knew you were going to have these viewership issues because of the time zone and the game. There'd be some sort of hit. You knew that. Why do this angle on this show if that's the case? If you know you're going to have more than likely, if everything goes well, a smaller audience than usual, why do the angle on this episode?
You know what? How often have we heard that Shad Khan was actually in the building at the show? Maybe he was at Wembley, right? Maybe. Did we hear that?
It's been a while since we've heard he's at show. He's been at various shows. Jacksonville, I guess, is the place we've maybe heard about it the most, because
then also they're there for the big NFL draft where he makes some of his real money so that he can give it to Tony. Maybe they came up with this to pitch it to Tony. And look, your dad will be here. He can see you take this bump. Because that's all it is. They're just feeding Tony's fantasies now to stay in the position they're in that they don't deserve, and or to continue to get him to whip out his wallet. And to ignore the fact that the numbers are going down when he involves the people that make the numbers go down. So, but you can take a bump in front of your dad. It'll be so cool.
I don't know if I would call that a bump. Or, well, he did take a bump. I guess it was just the wrong bump. Yeah. I
think that's where we are now.
All kidding aside, have the comparisons to Dixie Carter ever been more apropos?
No, but Dixie was better on television. And until you actually, talked to her for a little while, she was a very pretty lady. But she was a talented amateur on television. Tony is awkward in every way and unfit for broadcast. And it makes the company look like a fucking loony bin that would be the guy in charge of this. And that anybody would suggest to him that he be on television, much less, more importantly, not try to talk him out of it at all costs, indicates that they're fucking taking him for a ride. Because there should have been people going, Tony, you can't do this. Tony, you're not a television personality. Tony, do not. You're not athletic. Whatever the fuck he's not. And there was many of those. Somebody should have been saying that. But instead, Tony, you can take the Meltzer driver. Dave will give it 5 stars. Why else would you do this? This is insanity.
We saw it in the early days of AEW. I mean, it's rather benign, but remember there was a thing after the show with Cody. I remember Aubrey Edwards going crazy, ridiculously over the top, where Tony gave Sean Spears a stunner.
Yes,
and it was
that was in the dark.
Well, that was in front of the fans. It wasn't on TV.
But it wasn't on TV, at least. It was just,
It was the origins of this. Get them out there. Let them feel the fans. Let them pop for him. Everyone make them look good. It was the start of this. And now we have Tony seemingly as a character on the show, but... All right, well, those are the ratings. Let's go back to the other nonsense. Time travel begins right now.
Oh!
We're back. In the future. We're back where we were.
We're back in a reasonable fucking facsimile and situation to the process of where we went forward.
That's right. How about
And
those ratings?
it's getting harder on me. This time it threw my back out, Brian. There's a whiplash when we go around Alpha Centauri.
Well, I have no comeback.
That's a deep subject.
That's a deep subject. That's a deep space, of course.
Tom Cornette used to say that. Well, that's a deep subject.
If only Carl Sagan was here. But Jim, let's get to something before I know we have to talk about Raw and we have some other Vince McMahon news. Everyone's just acting like a fool lately. Let's talk about something we really need to get caught up on, Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes.
And the episode on Chris Adams, Gentleman Chris Adams.
Yes, because we hate it that we've been behind on some of these programs, and Dark Side has been keeping me sane here lately because you see Chris Adams, or we'll talk about in an upcoming program, a Sherry Martel that just aired, or we saw Chris Colt last week. It's not that the A&E shows have cross-pollinated to where they're telling the same stories about the same people with the same talking heads, and they blur, right? And as I mentioned, the Treasures has become, hey, let's go find this guy's fucking sweaty tights. But with Dark Side,
which is a notch down from, hey, let's have Top Dollar harass John Pantozzi.
Well, yes, at least they don't have Flop Dollar trying to fucking hornswoggle and bully people out of their legally collected items for this fictitious Hall of Fame that'll never take place. But nevertheless, Dark Side of the Ring is what we were talking about. And the episode on Chris Adams was just last week. And, that's when this came up, I realized Chris Adams doesn't get a lot of talk these days. And, his major league career was over well before the 90s, boom. And he was a big deal in the 80s because the World Class show was such a big deal, but it hasn't lasted on the YouTube nostalgia and the modern streaming, except for the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, rivalry, as much as the Saturday night TBS show or the Crockett stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you don't see this stuff over and over these days like you do with some of the other people. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Well, thank you. And I got to admit, we knew Chris Adams for like 6 months. I'll talk about, personal interactions and or opinions here at the top, and then we'll talk about what was in the program. But, we knew Chris for like 6 months when Bobby and Dennis and I went to World Class in January of 85. And except for maybe, I'm trying to think a time or two, maybe when Watts was being absorbed or had been absorbed by Crockett. I can't remember where Adams was. We might have been in a locker room with him a time or two at that point. But I never saw him drunk because we didn't really, even then, Bobby and Dennis in a small territory with only, 7 or 8 heels or whatever, Bobby and Dennis didn't associate with Chris and Gino outside of the ring, outside of the matches, besides the fact that we felt somewhat like the outsiders when we came in. We've talked about World Class with the small roster. The heels were Gino Hernandez, Chris Adams, one-man gang, and they were figured in with the Von Erich family. Gary Hart, the manager, was figured in because he'd been Fritz's booker, and they went way back. And then the only other heels on the card were the Midnight, me, maybe at one point Rip Oliver or Kelly Kaniski, or 1 or 2 other guys.
Johnny Mantell.
Well, he was a babyface.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And like the babyfaces, besides the Von Erichs, you had Scott Casey and the Fantastics at one point, the Fantastics and Hercules, or Johnny Mantell. Brian Adidas was on the card, the Von Erichs' high school friend. So, point being, we weren't in that clique and had never been there, worked with those guys. And we had given our notice the first night in because we thought we were going to go work for Crockett's. They probably, were like, ah. But the thing is, Gino and Chris, that wasn't a gimmick. And now I can't speak to when Chris had come and was a babyface, but when Gino and Chris got together, Gino did live in Highland Park, the exclusive condo suburb type of thing. And they did go to all these parties and have these sports cars. And we were just taking our $1,000 a week and wait until we got the spot to go to work for Crockett. So we weren't in the same, nor did we want to be, the same social circles as Gino and Chris, but they were doing the whole big Dallas associating with the fast crowd type of thing. So I never saw that side of him. Actually, he was kind of, on the side of overly polite for one of the boys in the locker room. When you were just sitting in the fucking high school gym locker room with him. As far as his work, that kick, boy, going back, and now that everybody has done it and it's just bullshit and meaningless,
it's still
his fucking
best.
Kick looked good, boy.
It's still the best. And you know what? I think it was David Manning who said it. David Manning, I always got a kick out of him, but the most overbearing referee you've ever seen.
Yeah, he had to be a baby face at all fucking costs.
He would get right in the heel's face and give it to them. But he said that Chris would slap himself and you never even saw it and you couldn't see it.
No.
Because I was looking for it after. I was like, I've never really noticed he slapped himself or not. Everyone else, you see it. You don't see it with him.
No, and also it was smooth and it looked good, and then they put it over and people just didn't, pop up. They definitely didn't stay up. They went down for it and they didn't get back up real quick. But having said that, his work looks better today than it did to me at the time because the quality of work has gone downhill so much in modern times. But so when you go back and you look, you say, oh shit, that guy was better than I remember. I'm not saying Chris wasn't a really good worker. I'm saying, and also it wasn't fair because we've talked about the rings being concrete in world class, but it was a habit that he and Gino both got into. When they took bumps like a backdrop, they'd put their hands down. It was poor form, but it was, for self-preservation, falling on stages most of the time. But as a promo, he was kind of bland as a babyface, but he had some fire. But as a heel, it was really good because he had the accent got heat in Texas. So, I think he was a very good worker, and he probably would have been a top heel the years after World Class in maybe anywhere but the WWF or Crockett Promotions, because they were just so loaded with talent. And but otherwise his shit stood up. And that was the thing in Dallas, is that those programs lasted so long because in other areas, other territories, there were multiple ways to get into the main events and multiple guys to work with to make money. But in World Class, it was only the Von Erichs and whoever worked against them. So the guys wouldn't let those spots go. So once that Gino knew the drill, and once that they switched Chris heel, and he was in with Gary Hart, that, okay, he's in the protected bubble, and they had the boy's ear and Fritz's ear, and they could do all kinds of shit. And that was the way you kept buying the sports cars in Dallas. But everybody else wanted to get the fuck out of there. But anyway, that was so, I was so surprised when all this happened in real time with him going crazy and headbutting people and then, whatever, because we just saw this fucking English guy that was a pretty good worker, and, it didn't seem like he'd say boo to a goose, as Adrian might say. Did you ever meet Chris Adams? Were you even around him any time?
Never met him, never was around him, never saw him on a show. I was always a fan of his. World Class aired in the afternoons when I was a kid, when I was really getting into wrestling, every day on ESPN. So I got to see the glory days of it as like Dallas was falling apart. And then I got tapes. Love the stuff with him. I mean, he may be the best opponent for Kevin Von Erich just because they worked really stiff with each other, and that's just the way they were. It worked for me. I liked it. I was a big mark for that stuff. And then you'd see him in whatever Dallas stuff every now and then popped up on ESPN. You're always like, why doesn't anyone do anything with him? Even as a kid,
why is he there?
Why is he there? And then he popped up in WCW, but that was when they signed everyone, and a lot of names you knew from the 80s were there just to do jobs in 6 minutes.
Well, and then, in this program, we kind of found out why that Chris stayed in Dallas and the business moved on because he was getting further issues with alcohol and whatever, which is a recurring theme with a lot of these programs. But the talking heads were good. They had David Manning, James Beard, Jeannie Clark, Kevin, King Parsons, and Adams, his daughter, and his brother Neil. His brother is just the most polite sounding, unassuming chap. And he was the fucking judo badass, right? Chris was good enough to get by, but Neil was the world-class ranked judo guy.
Yeah.
And, everybody says basically Chris was a Jekyll and Hyde. And another thing that this program highlighted to me was the short time, really, when you think about it, that Chris had at the top or in any money-making position in the business. It was glorious, but it was brief because he started in World of Sport, black belt Chris Adams, and met Jeannie and made her his valet. But when they moved to Los Angeles, he was out there with Adrian Street, and I think Tom Pritchard had just been there. That territory was near death. There was no money to be made whatsoever. And so he moves her and him to Los Angeles and is making no money. So he's got to go to fucking Mexico to wrestle. And she had to go back to the United Kingdom to have a baby. And then they all went back to the United States. But he's running around on her and not coming home for days. So you could there may be some red flags. But really, by the time that he got to Dallas in 1983, that would have been the first time he made any money in the wrestling business. And by 1987, it was over with. So that was, when you look at it in right in front of you, you're like, wow, he had a longer career, but he didn't have a real long window at the top. And you remember the debut footage of him in World Class when he came in, he had a crew cut because he'd got his head shaved in Mexico on the way out. And I think they glossed over really how big of a babyface that he became in the whole feud with Jimmy Garvin, and then the valets, Precious and Sunshine, and everybody getting involved. That was carrying that show right underneath the Freebirds and the Von Erichs for about a year and a half.
That was what put valets on the map as being something other than women who went to the ring, didn't say anything, didn't do anything.
Yeah. And everybody had to follow along with that, that motif that the girls have got to get in the cat fight, and there's got to be, a girl in opposing corners, and every company ran with that at some point or another during that time, but it was all from them. But did you love the comment from Kevin Von Erich about, well, Chris got trouble because, you had to be early, or you had to be at all the shows an hour beforehand. You couldn't be late. I'm like, that is true. That is great advice, but coming from one of the Von Erichs. Oh,
if you're going to be late, it's better just to turn around and go home.
Well, when we got there, every week you'd get your booking sheet at Friday night at the Sportatorium for the following 7 days. And that was normal that once a week at a set of place, anytime in a territory, you'd get your booking sheet for the next week. But with this would come little slips of paper that they had copied on a machine and scissored them, directions from Dallas to the spot shows. Not the towns we run every week, but the spot shows, the high school gym in McKinney, Texas, or whatever, right? And we'd never seen that before, because in those days, literally, you got the booking sheet. It said, be at this high school or this building in this town at 7:30. When you got into town, you stopped at a goddamn gas station and said, where's the fucking high school? That's how you found out. Written instructions. Well, this is great. And then Rick Hazard, one of the referees, told us the reason was because they didn't want to just give the Von Erichs written directions and not give the other boys to make, the boys feel bad. But if the Von Erichs were to go to a town and go to one school and find that the matches weren't there, they wouldn't ask if there's another school. They just think, They went the wrong place. They turn around and go back home. So they give
that's just amazing.
written directions from the office.
Hey, there's no wrestling show here. I'm gonna go get some chicken wings.
Yeah. So anyway, he turns heel pretty quick, does Chris Adams, in this television broadcast. And the heel team with the Gino Hernandez, the dynamic duo, and the feud with the Von Erichs. And, you know, King Parsons had a story that they were bribing cops. And I believe it in Dallas at that point in time. It was insane what you could get away with being on that television. But he said that they would have the big party with the cocaine and the hookers and whatever in the hotel room, and they just slip a couple of cops $1,000 a piece to watch the door. I believe it more of Gino than I do of Chris, but if Chris was around, you know, that's the point. And, you know, you could, when Gino died it was early in the year in 86, wasn't it? Wasn't it early?
February 86.
Yeah. So that was not a good year for World Class, but that was a record-breaking year for Crockett and the WWF. And, you know, Watts was still expanding, but he couldn't really go anywhere because he was starting to get more fucked up and more people had stories. Manning says he super kicked the bartender in Israel. And, you know, Von Erich tells a story about Chris choking the guy that drove him to the fucking matches. And then he got, you know, on the plane and got drunk because they were delayed on the tarmac or whatever and got cut off and slapped the stewardess and headbutted the pilot. And that's 1987. That Crockett's still in business. But they're making no money in fucking Dallas, but Chris is going to jail instead of moving up in the world. So that's, go ahead.
Well, the couple of things. One is that's also when Dallas, 86 is when everything went to shit. They left the NWA, all of a sudden elevated the America's champion to being the NWA or being the world champion. Rick Rude was their world champion, remember?
Yeah.
Then Gino dies. Then Ken Mantell goes to work for Bill Watts and takes a bunch of the talent. Although you could say that they probably needed new talent. They didn't really, they refreshed like their Freebirds and all these people with Buzz Sawyer, Matt Bourne, you know, different kind of wrestler. Then Kerry got hurt in a motorcycle accident. So now there was no Kerry Von Erich for, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
No Kerry Von Erich. Lance is still there. You know, Mike passes away, I believe, in 87. So you got one more year of that, so still more tragedies. Chris goes to jail or prison, whatever it was. And then he goes to work for Bill Watts. And they made him a babyface doing PSAs about, like, drinking. And that's when Iceman Parsons, who left World Class to go there too, turned on him and started calling him a jailbird. So you had the babyface who got drunk and beat up a flight attendant or whatever, and the captain being called names by the heel. And he had to be like, no, you know, I've changed. You know, I went to prison a few months ago. And that was it for a while. And then, in 88, when World Class had a little bit of a revival in terms of the quality, when the Freebirds went back in there, then they had the Freebirds versus Freebirds, where Michael Hayes had the concert, and he got attacked right before Kerry and Kevin were going to come out and sing with him. We never got to hear that. Kerry Von Erich singing with Michael Hayes.
Oh, that would have been a chart topper.
But Chris Adams versus Terry Taylor was one of the highlights of 88 in Dallas.
But they were making no money.
And then Chris Adams versus Steve Austin, same thing, one of the highlights. And they showed some great clips in this. Look at the crowd there versus the crowd in the Sportatorium in 83. It's dark. You can't see too far into the crowd. There's a reason for that.
Well, and the thing is, with when Chris Adams met Tony, his next wife, and they did the angle with Steve Austin, who Adams trained, and Jeannie, that was the last thing that the dying Dallas territory at that time was known for, and it got some interest. He was still in the middle of shit that could get interest, but nobody would book him because he was, as everybody said, Jekyll and Hyde.
And then when I was 13, he showed up in Memphis briefly in the summer of 93, and he had a feud with, and Tony was with him. He had a feud with Brian Christopher.
Fuck, I forgot about that.
And it was great because Brian Christopher could really work, and he was working there, and he was young and not fucked up. And Chris Adams still had it. He didn't look as young as he used to, but he could still move in the ring. He could still do the super kick. And he could do a good babyface promo. We didn't even get to see him as a heel there, but he ended up being a good, like, kind of maniacal heel promo too.
Now, did Tony lived up here in Kentucky at one point for quite a while? Maybe that's why that they briefly came here. I'm trying to think of where she might have, but I remember hearing that. But nevertheless, and then that got screwed up. Apparently, the story is Tony and Chris were in a car having a fight and an argument, whatever. And Tony stopped the car on the interstate so a truck could run over him. And Chris beat her up so bad she needed facial surgery. And apparently that was that for that. And then they tell Kevin the story. Kevin Viner, I bet, didn't know that fucking story or didn't remember that story. And they told it to him, and he said, well, I'm embarrassed I said good stuff about him now. But, and then...
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys, very much for... I remember the story about Rod Price's wig getting ripped off.
I never knew it was intentional, actually. I knew the story about it happening in the ring, and I've heard about it happening a few other times.
Well, and I didn't know it was intentional either, and I didn't know he got 200 fucking stitches. And they said, we've never seen so much blood before. I thought it like a rib, he pulled the guy's fucking hairpiece off. But no, apparently pulled his goddamn head off with it.
Pulled the scalp off.
Would it, 200 fucking stitches,
Ooh.
Wouldn't you need to get a stick of some description and go have a talk with that motherfucker if it was on purpose? And you looked like Rod Price?
Yeah, Rod Price was a big fucking... I mean, back then, too, when he was younger, he was a big fucking guy.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I guess he was scared of Jekyll and Hyde.
Should have called Billy Jack Haynes. Got him in there to back him up.
Jekyll and Hyde meet Briggs and Stratton. I'd have run over him with a fucking truck if he was such a badass. But anyway, and like you said, at that point, WCW... they use him as a job guy because they signed everybody, but it was pretty much done at that point. He moved in with the fellow named Boo Ray, who was kind enough to pay for everything and, let Chris live in his house and get fucked up, I guess. But Boo Ray looked like a trailer park version of a Doobie Brother.
You ever see the Miz's dad when he appears on Raw?
Thankfully, no.
He looks just like the Miz's dad. It's scary.
Ooh. Well, have we had Boo Ray do a DNA test?
They didn't explain how you get the name Boo Ray.
It's a common name down south.
It is?
Actually, it is, unfortunately, in some circles. Hello, Boo Ray. But anyway, so apparently then, to repay Boo Ray, it's not that I mean to laugh about people's tragedies, but at this point, I've seen so many of these programs, I'm like, at some point, somebody might have said, maybe I'm headed down the wrong path in life. But Boo Ray, his kindness in letting Chris Adams live with him for free is rewarded when Chris meets a new girl and brings her to Boo Ray's house, and Boo Ray goes to bed, and Chris and the girl both overdose on GHB, and the girl ends up dying in his fucking house, even though the Chris was scared to call 911 because they were obviously going to get in trouble. And there you go. So, of course, that was a manslaughter charge. Did they even, I guess it never had time to get adjudicated as to whether he might have been guilty in that or not, because then they're back at Boo Ray's house, and Adams gets drunk and jumps on Boo Ray, and Boo Ray tries to wound him, but shoots him in the heart. Even though the only intelligent, reasonable human being in the whole fucking piece here, Chris Adams' brother Neil, doesn't buy the self-defense scenario.
But there's no reason not to. I mean, he was a violent guy. You have to admit that.
Well, that's why I'm saying that of all people, the only person that came off like a goddamn human being that you would park your car near under any circumstance, and he's the one that doesn't believe it was self-defense.
Jeannie Clark, too. I like Jeannie Clark.
Okay, I forgot about Jeannie. But otherwise, yeah, but no, it had to, because he just went nuts again and was trying to kill this fucking guy for what apparent reason we don't know. But apparently the guy didn't have time to take careful aim on that. It just give him a flesh wound. Boom! And that's all she wrote, as Mama Cornette used to say.
And it was weird, too, because then they go to the Blu-ray interview, and he's like, oh, Chris was the nicest guy in the world. I loved him. I just thought he was the greatest.
Hated that I had to kill him before he fucking murdered me.
I hate to laugh.
Yes, but you can't not. You can't not. We're in a world of self-defense, murdering, and head shitting. How can we not fucking laugh sometimes? But anyway, yeah, Chris Adams could have been was a star in exactly pretty much one United States territory and got over like $1 million and then never really got a chance to, because of his own various issues, go anywhere else and do anything else for the next 15 years.
Would Gino and Chris have fit in with Crockett Promotions in '86 if they had to have a place to go after World Class and they didn't go to Watts?
I think Chris proved that he would go when he went to Mexico and moved to California, blah, blah, blah. He would pursue his dream. I think Gino would have been either offended at or just, fuck this, the schedule that Crockett had, and there were so many good heels. And, Tully was the kind of guy that was going to make the Crockett schedule and work hard and be on top. Gino, I don't know if he wanted to give up that much of his private life where he could go hang out with celebrities. And when you put Chris and Gino up against, the Midnight Express, either version, yeah, they had the top spot in Dallas because they were already there and they were figured in, but they couldn't, they would have been a competent, quality heel team pretty much anywhere, but would they have been on top or been able to manage that schedule for Crockett? And I don't think Vince would have. Gino didn't have a body and wasn't going to get one. And Adams was an athlete, but wasn't a bodybuilder. And I don't know if they'd like that schedule. Although Gino would have loved hanging out with the rock and roll stars. He might have done it for that. So, there's those caveats.
Well, that was the Dark Side of the Ring episode on Gentleman Chris Adams. And what I think we'll do, and correct me if I'm wrong, we'll talk about the Sherry Martel episode on The Experience.
Yes.
And we still have the Harley Race episode at some point we got to get caught up on.
That we got to go back and catch up on. And I saw that they're looking for Dusty's trunks. Maybe they found his muffler in that box also. But that was an episode that I haven't seen yet. And because it's Dusty, I want to give that a chance.
His muffler. Maybe that's what The Rock gave Cody and said, don't disappoint me again.
Yes. And then Cody went back and washed his hands with Bon-Ami. But yeah, there's so many programs. And questions and songs and dances and games and puzzles.
Well, you know what? I'm hopeful this one will be pretty quick because I don't even remember if I saw everything. The stars weren't there, and neither was I. Monday Night Raw. Anything you have to say about this?
Boy, howdy. I'm going to talk about a couple of promos, and otherwise, that's pretty much. They've announced they're going to have the Battle Royal, and they had it for the women's title that Rhea had to relinquish. So, of course, a completely original way to fill a vacant title. But they had Damian Priest, the new world champion. His top challenger is going to be Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso. And Jey is doing his promos so they can yeet instead of what? He'll say a quick sentence, and then they'll yeet. And yeet. I think we mentioned he's not the nimble linguist that The Rock is, or that and it's just Priest comes out and they fucking have their set to with each other verbally, And they talk about how they reminisce that they had a wonderful night of drinking together, and Jay had told him, "We're next." Well, I was next, Jay. I don't know about you. You're the first one that the machine is going to feed me to make this title look good on me. But it drug, and I don't, if Jay ain't in the bloodline, I ain't a lot interested in Jay. And he did have one good line. The only reason that you're the leader of the Judgment Day is because Rhea Ripley got hurt. You're Dominic Mysterio's bitch. You're getting fed to me. But then J.D. McDonough tried to attack Jey Uso from behind, but missed. And then Jay tried to super kick J.D., but missed and hit Priest. And then J.D. shit himself, and Jey Uso left the ring. And so there's problems in the Judgment Day. You can tell that Priest is starting to get fed up with everybody, and they want to break him loose, make him a top single. But right now, they're still in that awkward breakup phase, right? Did you like the tag team match between Do It Yourself and Do It Somewhere Else?
Which match was this again?
It was DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Sameface against The Miz and R-Truth. Do It Yourself versus Do It Somewhere Else, which is what I wish they'd do.
I went with the second option, and I don't remember the match.
Very good. So then Priest was bitching JD out in the back, and then Dominic's arm is in a sling now. Did he get hurt for real, or what the fuck's going on with him?
I don't know.
Well, his arm was in a sling, and he told Escobar to team with JD tonight, and Priest tells him, well, you guys better handle your business and stay out of mine. Which sounds like good advice for anybody. And then they had an in-ring interview with Gunther and his stooges. And
I did see this.
Do you think they could have given him something better or allowed him to do something better than losing the title after 666 days? And then coming out and say, I'm cool, I'm calm. I'm over it now. A weight has been lifted off of me. No longer am I the hunted, now I'm the hunter. I'm not a target anymore. I'm declaring for the King of the Ring, and I'm going to decide what title to take next. Didn't bother me. It's only a flesh wound. I really think a noose Braun Breaker could have been made by beating this guy in 6 more months, and what a match it would have been. And then and Sammy's the North American Intercontinental. What title is this?
Intercontinental.
He's the Intercontinental title champion of North America. But anyway, that was this promo, and I love Gunther. I don't know. It didn't impress me because it just like it was nothing, and it was made to be nothing, and it should have been something. It should have been a big something. Was it something to you? Because it was nothing to me.
Not much, and I mean, I guess the story is really what happened after Gunther talked.
Well, and I don't see how that helps Gunther. You know, but nevertheless, the story is New Day, of course, had to come out making odd noises and farting about. And they went into the gazillionth tag team match that they've had with these guys. But finally, they beat poor old Leonardo da Vinci. And Gunther got mad and walked out. And poor old Kaiser Wilhelm was there to comfort da Vinci and helped him up and got him out of the ring, was patting him on the head. I thought he was going to give him a little tongue on a kiss there at one point. There was so much physical contact. He was really comforting him. I'd like to be comforted like that.
Really?
Well, maybe for less than $100 or so. But anyway, and then suddenly, without warning, he turned on him and beat the shit out of him, threw him over the desk, over the stairs. The officials came out. He ran back around the officials and flying drop kicked Da Vinci's head in, and then left and went past Gunther in the back, who was smiling broadly at his efforts. So they got rid of, and you know what? I'm liking that better already because Wilhelm makes the fucking thing. his one stooge with that stink face that he gets in the introduction, and then there's Gunther when he was with a tag team, and then they were trying to get us to take the tag team seriously when they were underneath guys and blah, blah, blah. This is better. One flunky is better, and this is the best flunky. Which flunky were you more spunky about?
I don't know if I would phrase it that way, but I agree
was
with
either
you.
flunky funky like a monkey?
The problem was you had one flunky who had personality, and even though he lost, he still had personality. He got on a mic. The other one stood there like a mute and never did anything and always took the pin. So I don't know how good his future prospects look right now.
Well, his future endeavors, nevertheless. Okay, here is the goddamn... I'm trying to look through this. Yeah, it's pretty much the highlight of the fucking night. This and maybe Chad Gable, but Drew McIntyre got in a ring, and again, they can't be writing this for him, because if they were writing it for him, they would have been able to write it for him last year. And they weren't. It must be that he's coming up with this, and they've just now allowed him to do this like this, because remember when he was a boring baby face carrying a goddamn fake sword, chopping fake ring ropes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember.
Well,
I'll never forget.
Never forget. But as soon as he gets in the ring now, they want to see him, and the CM Punk chant starts. And he sits cross-legged like Punk in the ring for the pipe bomb, and that makes him chant Punk more. And Drew's story is that man actually hates all of you and himself. And they start trying to what him. And he suddenly says, say what if you French kiss your cousins? And they say what? And he's, you people are sick. And then he said, the most complex relationship you've ever had is with your right hand. And the story is Punk attacked him. And then Priest cashed in. And then he got put in a four-way, and then Punk screwed him again, and then Jey Uso took advantage like a coward. It's all these people's fault, and he's targeting the King of the Ring to come and show all these people what for, and then the music interrupts, and it's Sheamus. Sheamus is back.
Sheamus.
What was his injury or heartache? The reason why he's been gone?
Sheamus.
Yeah, Sheamus.
Sheamus.
Seamus, right?
Sheamus.
I don't see an H.
They spell it with an H.
Up.
No, they spell it. Look it up where. They spell it with an H.
I didn't see it.
Hold on. Yeah, Sheamus. She-a-mus.
They're spelling it wrong. She must what?
No, if you want to...
What does she do?
Phonetically, well, whatever. He's
all
back.
Right, well,
he's back.
Well, Sheamus is telling Drew what for, because he's an old friend of his. He's known him for 20 years, said, you're sulking. The only person not taking responsibility is you. That makes you a coward. You've been saying you were robbed for the past 4 years, and you finally won. You were in front of your family and the crowd and everything you wanted, and you blew it. Over a meme and a t-shirt, you threw it all away. You threw it all away, Drew. And as your friend, I'm telling you hard truths here. A one-armed CM Punk kicked your ass. And Drew said, you know what he did to me. You better than anybody. Well, Sheamus says, you're obsessed. And then Drew says, oh, well, you want some hard truths? Well, you've gone from having banger after banger after banger to having burger after burger after burger. And he does, because it's hard for a man that's as white as a sheet of paper to not look fat, but he didn't used to look fat, but now he kind of looks fat, doesn't he?
No, not at all.
He looks like he has something extra around the midsection. Well, a tan would take care of that, though. It really would. But anyway, and Sheamus, shame of him all, responded, I deserve that, but I can lose weight. You can't lose stupid. Stop blaming everybody else. And now then they were in a full-fledged argument because they're friends, so they have to argue. And then Drew said he was going to watch his back with in his match. And was that a veiled threat or what? We don't know. So we stayed tuned and we watched Sheamus beat Shaky Nakamura, and Drew didn't do anything to him. So apparently it was a really veiled threat. He couldn't get through the veil to actually do anything about it. What'd you think of this?
I like Drew on the mic. The rest of it I didn't really care too much for. By this point of the show, too, it's like, okay, there's no star power. I mean, Drew is good. But after that, you're like, Cody, nowhere to be seen. Rollins ain't going to be around for a while. So I don't know. It just felt like a run-of-the-mill Raw.
When is somebody going to talk about how badly Seth Rollins may be injured? Is anybody going to talk about that?
We saw a fan cam video, I know you saw it too, from WrestleMania of when he got in there dressed in his Shield garb to hit The Rock with the chair.
But he got stopped real quick. And remember, I'd remarked, goddamn, that's all that Seth did was he started to come in and they wiped him out and that was it. That seemed odd.
Well, when he took that bump, his leg took an odd turn, I don't know what to say. It looked like it fell off his body.
It took a flop to the right of him that a properly attached limb should not take. And we didn't see him get injured to the point of immobility in his match or in anything he had done up to that point. So I'm just putting this out there that it looked to me like one of those fucking deals that we've seen here lately a few times where some innocuous thing, the guy's running into the ring from the crowd to do a spot and comes over the rail or missteps off a fucking step or whatever and blows his goddamn knee. But when he was trying to get into the ring on this fan cam footage, we weren't supposed to see him on the broadcast. But the fan cam has him limping and keeping his right leg, I believe it was, his right leg as straight as possible and rolling into the ring with the chair to get blasted. And when he goes down, like I said, the leg flops like there was no connective tissue. And that was it for Seth. So they can't have sent him to the ring in that condition. They would have called something else, or he would have been so heavily taped and wrapped that there's no way that thing was flopping around like that, if they would have even cleared him to do it at all. So to me, something may have had to have happened between the time he left and the time he got there. And but it didn't look good. And nobody, the only reference to him has been when Cody said, "Thank you, Seth, watching at home. Thank you." Why was he watching at home? Maybe because he can't fucking walk. I don't know what's going on.
That looked really bad. And again, he went into this with an injury. He had to get medically cleared to be at WrestleMania. We thought he was going to be out a lot longer. That's what originally screwed up the match with, was it going to be him and Punk? I forget what it was.
It was going to be him and, yes. And then everything else started going sideways. And my God, what kind of fucking bad karma or bad ironic or whatever it would be if that was the knee that he had just got cleared off of, that he'd done therapy instead of having some kind of surgery or whatever. Yeah, but anyway, so we're trying to find out more about the condition and or the whereabouts of Seth Franklin Rollins. Stay tuned to the programming. Would you like to continue and finish up this program?
Finish it up, yes.
Chad Gable. He's in the ring with Otis and Tozawa and the model girl, and I wrote, God, he needs to dump these three if they're going to push him. And Gable did a good promo. He's very well-spoken, and he's got personality. He did a heel promo about the match with Sammy and how he got mad and what he did was justified because Sammy rubbed it in. He not only put that belt right in front of me, but then he celebrated with his wife right in front of me when it should have been my moment. This is the kind of shit that Jericho's doing, getting booed out of the fucking building by the people in the locker room. But it's good with Gable, and he's pulling it off. And then he turns to these three. He says, I've been wasting my time training losers. And he berated Tozawa for being a loser. And he told Model Girl she was dumber than a box of rocks. And then he goes to Otis, and the fans started chanting Otis. That needs to be a big-time TV match where Chad will fuck Otis and get a ton of heat because people like that fat, useless fuck.
Will you stop it? He's not useless.
And the way he's been presented, and then if he goes away and we forget about everything that he's ever done and comes back with goddamn different haircut or something and a different name, he might be pretty good too.
Hey, they took Chad Gable from someone you hated watching because of the shush stuff, and look at where he is now. They could do anything.
Yeah, but Otis was the flunky of the guy doing the shush stuff.
Think of how much better this stuff is than Otis and Mandy.
Oh, I forgot about Mandy. What happened to Mandy?
They fired her, and then she became a star on OnlyFans or something.
That's right. She's the one that's on the OnlyFans. I understand her fans aren't lonely, even if they're only. There's a bunch of them. Anyway, Otis is the biggest disappointment of all of them. You wanted honest feedback, and from now on, you're all going to focus on me, and you're all going to help me win the Intercontinental title. You're going to help me no matter what, right? Right? And he makes Otis say no matter what. So there's going to be trouble there. And then, besides another tag team match with Escobar and JD against Rick O'Shea and his partner Andrade, where Damian Priest came in and beat up both baby faces and told Dominic in Spanish, I don't need anybody, you need me. Because they got beat, obviously. Then we had 33 minutes of a goddamn women's battle royal to determine the new women's champion to replace Rhea Ripley. And I got to admit that I watched more of this than you would have expected me to. And Brian, tell me why. I bet you can guess why.
Was it the perverse curiosity of seeing all these women in a battle royal setting?
You were almost there. The perverse, morbid curiosity of watching the model girl. I watched only her for the whole time she was in it. If the camera shot wasn't on her, I would wait until it came back and I would just watch her and what she did, or more importantly, didn't do. She was a scared deer caught in the fucking headlights of an oncoming truck. And they were giving her spots because they want to make her the sympathetic figure, right? Because it started setting it up with Gable so that he can, malign them and it'll make more sense. But they set it up for her to dump not only Indy Hartwell, but Candy LaRue too. But in between whatever she was supposed to do, to avoid doing anything or to avoid fucking up anything, probably she would sell or hide or lay in the corner. Or if people were at one point, she and Indy were just in the corner and Indy had her foot on her throat for like a minute. Just stay here. Don't move. You could fuck something up if you move. And then she'd every once in a while do a few fake kicks. And then they kept her in there until finally she had a face-off with Refrigerator Jax, and she hit Nia with 3 kicks, and Nia grabbed her and dumped her and got some fucking heat. So they got something out of it, but it was fascinating to what it's poor thing. She has no idea what she's doing, where she's at, what she's in, how to do it. She's scared and lost and confused. She's in the high weeds screaming, find me, find me. But after she got dumped, there was 15 more minutes, so I fast-forwarded that. And the last 3 were the Refrigerator, Becky Lynch, and Liv Morgan, and they teamed up and dumped the fridge, cleaned out the fridge, and then they fought on the apron forever, and Liv Morgan took a pissy little bump to the floor, and Becky won. So now she's the champion, even though she just lost at WrestleMania 2 weeks ago. Your thoughts?
That was Raw. Indeed it was. That was Raw. Well, Jim, before we wrap things up here this week after that glowing Raw review, I was saving this for the end because I didn't know how long we would go with it. It's such a fascinating story. And then, of course, Tony Khan decided to go Tony Khan on us all. Vince McMahon. Again, we said this story is going to keep blowing up in the news. As reported, and I'll read you what Brandon Thurston at WrestleNomics tweeted out. Vince McMahon has filed a motion to compel arbitration in the Grant versus WWE et al. Case. As expected, McMahon's defense is that the NDA he and Janel Grant agreed to contains an arbitration clause, and therefore this dispute should go to private arbitration. Now let's really stress that right there. Vince wants to get this away from the public.
Well,
that's what that is.
He does.
Yeah. And she asked for a jury trial, so the exact opposite.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a lot of opposites. Maybe that's opposites attract. But we're going to see a lot of opposites here in the next few minutes. But the first thing is, yes, but would that, if you signed an NDA because you committed an actionable crime, which is what the Janel Grant side is alleging, either under coercion or duress or the old okey doke, or you didn't know it was actually an actionable crime, is that still bindable? And the point is that not only does he want it to go into arbitration, but he wants his $1 million back, doesn't he?
Well, that's the other thing, too, because if he ended the agreement when he stopped paying her because he believed that she was the one leaking out the stories, if that's the case, then you would think the terms of the contract ended when the contract ended, and he pulled out of it. If he's saying now, I don't pay you, also you have to abide by the rules of the deal for which I'm not paying you,
and you have to refund me the small amount of money, well, 1 million out of 3 million or whatever that I did pay you on this before I stopped paying you. How does he get all of his cake and eat it too, if that's not crossing the line there?
With enough money to pay for every lawyer he would ever need.
With enough money to train every lawyer and send them all to law school. Here, pick 1,000 guys, send them to law school. We'll still have plenty left over. But so on this issue, the Janel Grant side is he committed crimes, he should be investigated, and we want a jury trial. And the Vince McMahon side is, not only is she full of shit, I want private arbitration, and I want all my money back that I did pay her. So they're seemingly about as polar opposite on that as you can get.
Well, I have the actual document here, Jim. Let me read a little bit of this. Defendant Vincent K. McMahon respectfully submits this memorandum of law in support of his motion to compel arbitration, everything we just said. Preliminary statement. By publicly filing her salacious, false, and defamatory complaint, plaintiff has brazenly and intentionally violated a binding contract to arbitrate. So again, by filing the lawsuit, not by the original allegation that he stopped paying her of leaking it. But anyway, the complaint's outrageous claims of sexual abuse and coercion are pure fiction, plainly intended to garner publicity, and are flatly contradicted by the plaintiff's own contemporaneous statements. Contrary to the plaintiff's false allegations, plaintiff and defendant, collectively the parties, engaged in a consensual relationship during which the defendant never coerced plaintiff into doing anything and never mistreated her in any way.
In any way!
In fact, a love letter plaintiff wrote to defendant shortly before the parties ended their relationship, plaintiff described defendant as, and as a quote, my best friend, my love, and my everything, praising him for being the, again, another quote
I think she was stealing that from Barry White, wasn't she?
Wonderful, tender, vulnerable.
No, that's from Barry Manilow.
Heart on your sleeve soul that you really are. It is incredulous that plaintiff, a then 42-year-old woman who claims on her resume to have a law degree from Pace University, would have written these words to defendant months after all the events in the complaint of alleged abuse. coercion, and sex trafficking took place.
Yeah, what? That'd be crazy. This woman is guilty, Your Honor.
Well, now they go into basically calling her a liar. At the time the parties met in 2019, plaintiff was not, and this is a quote, dealing with profound grief from her parents' death and struggling financially, as she described in her complaint, and she had not been, and there's another quote, devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving of her parents.
Well, what kind of fraud is she? That was what she got all her sympathy for.
Well, again, the statement goes on, and it's very much the Vince McMahon side. Let me go to an article here from the New York Post.
Well, but basically, I read this whole thing. I got this far into this fiasco. And boy, when you read that, you want to throw rocks to this woman. You want to run her out of town on a rail. You would curse the ground that she walked on, this horrible, heinous woman. After you read this statement from Vince McMahon's legal team. Just a horrible, terrible person she must be.
And according to McMahon's legal team, they're saying that her saying she was dealing with profound grief was a lie. According to them, her father lived in a senior home in Stamford before he passed away and was not cared for by her. And her mother died in 2017, 2 years prior to meeting Vince McMahon, as laid out originally in the complaint. Callis, who I believe is Grant's attorney.
And also, wait a minute. Did you get to the part where they said that, and during this whole affair that Vince McMahon and Ms. Grant had, that she was living with her fiance or financier or whatever?
Well, I'm going to get there.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a great part.
But according to Grant's attorney, Callis, I forget what her first name is, it's here somewhere.
Maria.
Grant's father was in in-home hospice until his final days, where she continued to care for him around the clock. Prior to his death, she had been caring for her blind, wheelchair-bound mother.
Oh.
Using the grief of someone who lost both parents is an all-new level of disgusting.
Fuck Vince McMahon. He's obviously guilty. Why, that no good son of a bitch, that poor woman.
Now, again, this goes into a lot of the origin of the story. She was down on her luck. Her parents had just died. She was down because of that, didn't have any employment. Someone in the building who, did we determine if she had a relation? Is there a bomb dropping? What is happening in the sky right now?
In your state, I have no idea. It could be just the regular rain bringing all the pollution down with it.
Or it could be this show. I'm not sure. But that all goes to the origin story of how she met him.
And at the same time, we wondered, well, how was she living in this building? Well, we can keep going. You're entertaining me so far.
Well, again, I will go back to this article in the New York Post. I'm bouncing around a little bit. Chief among McMahon's claims were that Grant would often visit him at his Stamford condo, and it's a quote, at all hours, including at 2:30 a.m.
That brazen hussy!
To pursue their affair and then return back to her condominium, where she lived with her where she lived with her fiancé, attorney Brian Gonclaves, according to the filing. So she
was running around on this guy. Damn her, she's guilty.
McMahon lived 4 floors apart from Gonclaves in the Park Tower, Stamford, the 36-story condo building formerly known as Trump Park, Stamford.
4 floors away, she's committing adultery and fornication on her poor lawyer financier.
Now, her attorneys say that they had called off the engagement and he was allowing her to stay in the apartment as she rebuilt her life.
Well, damn Vince McMahon for twisting her relationships for his own evil gains. She's obviously innocent. Fuck him.
Well, that sounds like her attorney, who, once again, Ann Callis said Vince McMahon has never known a storyline that he doesn't twist to fit his own shameful narrative.
See, it's not like they're arguing minutia here. They are, again, so far apart, polar opposite. One of these motherfuckers is lying out of their ass. And it seems like every time Vince's side comes up with something, well, look at this. Then Janel Grant's side goes, yeah, well, fuck you. She was blind and wheelchair bound. Oh, God. How can anybody, one side or the other, as we say, and we think we know, but we don't want to pre-adjudicate these official legal matters in the court of public opinion. But the other side has to be so far off of the facts. How do they expect to get away with this?
Well, Jim, Janel Grant's attorneys made a motion to strike the statements Vince McMahon made in the response that we just read.
Did they call the bullshit statute? Well, Your Honor, you must strike that because it is pure, unadulterated, grade A bullshit.
On Wednesday, Grant's attorneys filed a motion to strike against what they called inflammatory lies made in McMahon's memorandum. Grant's motion says that the statements made were used, and is a quote, as a platform to launch vicious falsehoods attacking Janel's moral character in an attempt to harass and intimidate her into submission.
Boy, that's sure what it sounded like.
Here's more from the lawyer's statement. McMahon's easily refuted lies have no place in this case. It was not necessary, reasonable, or responsible to use a public filing to impugn Janel's moral character. Indeed, McMahon's desperate attempt to distract from the legal substance of the motion highlights its weakness and the weakness of the overall case, of his overall case.
Puts a spotlight right on it.
This court has inherent power to strike a party's filings. Accordingly, Janel respectfully requests that the court exercise that power, strike the motion in its entirety, and admonish McMahon and his counsel that such statements have no place in civil litigation.
Send us a real one? Send us something serious next time? Is that what they're basically saying?
That's what they're saying. Now, Vince McMahon's attorney, Jessica Rosenberg, responded to that. Plaintiff has no right to bring this case in a public court, but did so anyway. Now that she chose this public forum to falsely accuse Mr. McMahon, she wants to silence his ability to respond.
Well, damn her!
She can't have it both ways.
Well, apparently she has in the past, but that's a matter for the courts to decide.
Hey, let's behave ourselves right now.
Oh, but if somebody was suing you, could you just, say, well, like this person fucks Dalmatians in the park late at night in front of children and is a noted fucking asshole on this count or other, and just enter that in? Or do you have to kind of be able to prove these things?
Well, as we are recording, we have some breaking news. Let's go to this real quick. This is being broke by Post Wrestling, an article by John Pollock and Brandon Thurston.
Boy, that's a hell of a tag team right there, John Pollock and Brandon Thurston III.
Earlier this week, McMahon's legal team fired back with a strongly worded statement in the ex-WWE chairman's defense when he denied any wrongdoing involving Janel Grant. The 29-page court filing represented the most substantial rebuttal by McMahon and comes as the 78-year-old has enlisted the services of a public relations firm, Citric and Company. The powerful... Well, go ahead.
Citric and Company? Possibly they also deal in the juice business.
The powerful firm is led by Michael S. Citric, who has been referred to as one of the most accomplished practitioners of the dark arts of public relations.
Oh my God.
By Fortune magazine, and another quote here, a public relations puppet master who has pulled the strings behind some of the biggest stories in the media.
What do you think? He's the one that leaked out that Vince was fostering puppies and kittens? Is this the first round of Pope Vince the First?
Well, that certainly gives you an idea where things could be coming from, but also important to note here, Grant's team is being represented by the agency group for PR. So they both have PR agencies working on their behalves.
Oh my God.
The connection with McMahon came through an existing relationship. I can't speak. An existing relationship Citric had with lawyers Mark Kasowitz and Jessica Rosenberg from Kasowitz Benson Torres.
Well, that's fucking Court Bauer's fucking lawyers.
Well, his wife works there, doesn't she?
Well, that's why they were his lawyers. I don't know if they take just every old wrestling promoter's cases, but now they've moved up in the world. Maybe they saw this wrestling shit. We can sue the fuck out of people.
All right, so here we are. He files a motion. She files a counter motion. The lawyers are going out in the press, and as a crisis
But it's all about
team.
the motion of the ocean, Brian.
Well, and now there's a crisis management team on this. What are your takeaways?
I think they ought to call the EMTs and put them both in an ambulance, have ambulance races to settle this. I mean, it's going to be hard to babyface Vince McMahon for any PR. What are they going to do? Make him the Grand Marshal of the Macy's Day Parade? He spent the past 25 years, most of it, trying to piss people off on television. Being a prick, being the master manipulator of the evil empire, being this billionaire boss. And even if people are expected to take that as all storyline, you've got over here, he's maligning the woman with the blind and crippled, mother in the wheelchair that died, or the father's in the wheelchair and the mother died. They're all dead. And she's been... And what about what Laurinaitis said? Laurinaitis said, I'm just as much of a victim in this whole thing as Janel Grant, which kind of means that she's a goddamn victim, according to his viewpoint of it.
And I think his lawyer has kind of put out a version of that statement a few times, basically saying he too is a victim.
Yes. So a victim of what? Of a fucking consensual relationship that his boss had with some other woman? How can he be a victim of that?
Yeah, what's Vince going to say about that?
Is he a victim of love?
Is he going to say that he was in a consensual relationship with Vince? Or Vince is going to say that he was in with him?
No, he was in a consensual three-way, but then later on he figured that he was a victim because... Why? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. See, you got Laurinaitis claiming he's a victim. Vince saying everything was, rosy and breezy. Janel Grant wants a jury trial for goddamn sex trafficking and who knows what of these other charges are. And there, of course, is the mystery physical therapist that was involved in the head pooping. And we don't know whether he considers himself merely an innocent bystander or,
And the chef.
Fecal matter in the eye. You can put somebody's eye out with that shit.
A pink eye.
There you see, there you go. It actually is more like a brown eye, actually. But nevertheless, we're degenerating now into mindless effluvia. The point is, these stories are all over the place. And I think it's going to be easier to paint a sympathetic picture, especially if the facts seem to be on... If these facts on Janel Grant's side are not facts, they should be easily disprovable. And somebody probably get the ex-financier boyfriend attorney that's letting her live there. He's going to be under oath at some point.
Him, the building manager. I mean, there's a lot of people who are the chef. Vince's assistants. There are a lot of people who are named who are going to have to, say something.
Yeah, and Chef's going to say, well, suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth and suck them. That's what Chef used to say.
Maybe that's Vince's kind of chef. I really don't know. That was obviously a long time ago, but Chef, Isaac Hayes being chef, I guess, a long time ago.
Yes.
But...
And the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin.
I guess the big thing is it doesn't look like any of this is going to stop unless she settles, which Vince's side kind of indicated they think may happen, right? Last time we talked about it.
No, it's the same point when he's putting out shit like this. Why, if what he's saying...
To try to bully her, to try to get her to stop this.
But if what he is saying is true, then how can you paint that in a proper light to the public if he says this is all bullshit, this is heinous misrepresentation of facts, everything was consensual, I don't know what this woman's talking about, but I'm going to go ahead and give her several $1 million. So why? If you have $2 billion, you don't mean you can't afford the lawyer. And if it's so indignant to you and morally reprehensible that she should make these baseless allegations, then it doesn't seem like you'd settle just to get her to go away, does it? So, but why private arbitration? Why not put things out in the sunlight's the best disinfectant? If Vince's attorneys can prove that all these things they say are true, why doesn't he want put me on the stand? I'll tell him what happened. I can see him saying that. Except if he's guilty as goddamn Jack the Ripper, in which case he might not want to say that.
He has enough money to fight this in the courts forever.
And forever is not, in Vince's case, going to be a very, very long time. He's fucking 80.
And listen, the last time he had a trial, he had a neck brace. This time we already had back surgery. I saw a video of him and his girlfriend, I guess, going to a restaurant in New York. He looked frail with a cane. Now we know he's rescuing animals and giving them to his friends or whatever the hell was going on over there.
Does his new confidant, I don't want to say girlfriend as applies to Vince McMahon sounds so juvenile, but his new confidant, I wonder if she thinks down deep when they're sitting in this fancy restaurant and people recognize him, if they're wondering if he's pooping on her head. How do you get through that feeling? The awkward feeling that everybody is staring at you, wondering if you're getting your head pooped on. It's happened to you, Brian. You've had that feeling.
I've never had that feeling, but how do you think Linda McMahon feels? Because people have to be seeing her thinking, geez, was Vince doing this nutty shit with her?
She may have been one of the OG poopers or poopies. Shipoopy, shipoopy, shipoopy.
You think she may have been one of the old school poopers or poopies?
Well, it depends on, which side of your buns your bread's buttered on.
All right, well, this definitely, I can't even talk. This sucks and it's degenerated into nonsense, so we will wrap this up. That's the latest.
Milk lemonade around the corner fudge is made.
That's the latest in the Vince McMahon news. We will obviously stay on top of whatever else happens because it seems like it is going to be happening in the press. Back and forth and pretty quick.
Hither and yon till somebody pulls out.
But Jim, with that, let's pull out. The drive-thru is closed.
Screech!
Oh boy, we'll be back on the Jim Cornette experience. There's a draft. Tony's out of control. Vince is in the media with a crisis management team. There'll be so much to talk about. The Jim Cornette experience. Wherever you find your favorite podcast. Of course, next week back here in the drive-thru. Let's end this quick. You guys know where to find us on Twitter. Cornette's Collectibles, JimCornette.com.
Know where to find us. We can't get away from them.
That's right. Don't forget about the law office of Stephen P. New, 877-50-STEVE.
You can't get away from him either.
You better not even try. He'll knock you down.
Don't go to Calabasas County.
That's right, or Cabana County.
There you have it.
There you have it. 1-877-50-STEVE. Get even with Stephen at newlawoffice.com. He's Jim. I'm Brian. We'll talk to you on the experience. Tally-ho!